Welcome to the WWE Podcast, the most passionate and authentic wrestling analysis on the web. We've got you covered with every Raw, SmackDown, and NXT show, giving you a no bullshit opinion. We know you love wrestling. We do too. So let's get this show underway.
And that's the bottom line. What? Because Stone Cold said so.
Hey guys, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It is June 2nd, 2020. We are in the month of June, folks. Summer's here. Probably the most unique, memorable summer that most of us will live, or have seen so far in our lives at least. There's just so much happening in the world, of which I really don't want to get into on this show. I don't think it's appropriate because this is about wrestling. You're coming here to escape, not here to talk more about the riots and the looting and all the absolute nonsense going on. Again, if you are interested, I am really contemplating a podcast that's like something titled like Everything Else, or Everything Other Than Wrestling, because there's honestly a lot beyond all the silliness that's happening in the world right now that I've always wanted to just kind of rant on or discuss or share. And not all ranting. I know some of you are not in on the ranting part of things, but yeah. So I really did contemplate using this as a platform to rant about what's going on, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do you guys a disservice because you're not here for that. You're here to talk wrestling and you're here to escape. So let's do that. Let's get into it. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. And today I've got Michael Gross with me, and what a great conversation. I mean, we did 2 hours plus, and it felt like 15 minutes. That's the way it always feels when you have an intelligent co-host on the show to discuss pro wrestling, and the time just boom, gone. I mean, I looked down, it was 8:30. I look up, it was 10:15. So it's just crazy. At least that's the time frame that I recorded the show. So great to have him on. It was one of the greatest conversations that I've had with wrestling, regarding wrestling in a while. So thank you so much for coming on, Michael, and we'll get to that audio in just a second. But first, thank you guys once again. I'll thank you for listening and taking the time out of your day to chill with us. And maybe you're listening in the car if you are going somewhere fun, hopefully. Maybe you're listening on your headphones, or maybe you got me on your speaker, or you are putting me on your iPhone or whatever phone you have and putting me on speaker there, whatever the case may be. Thank you for making the show what it is and continuing to grow. This show is on the rise, and I hope it continues to. Something that's not on the rise is my Twitter account. I will continue to rant about that until it changes, and ranting about it or complaining about it is not going to change it, but it makes me feel better. So I'm still in Twitter jail with no explanation, so that hopefully will change in the coming days. I've filed an appeal with Twitter, of which I have gotten a 0 response. So anyway, that's the deal with Twitter. For those that may be wondering, where are you? Well, I got put in jail with no explanation. No reason. I wasn't read my Miranda rights. I wasn't told what I was being charged with. I got nothing. So I'm sitting here in a holding cell, as the analogy goes, with no explanation, no bail. Nobody's talking to me. So hopefully that gets resolved. But you can head over to the website if you want to at wwepodcast.com. You can email me. That's still working at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. So there's lots of ways to get in touch with the show other than Twitter. You can also hit me up on Instagram at WWE Podcast, and also on Facebook. There is a Facebook page at facebook.com/WWE Podcast. So there are a lot of other ways other than Twitter, although that's my main one, so it's kind of killing me, that you can get in touch with the show. So all that being said, the schedule the rest of the week, I think you guys know it. Tomorrow is Nostalgia, and then Thursday's AEW and NXT, and then Saturday is your SmackDown review. Sunday will be your back to week in review with a co-host yet to be named, and then we'll start a new week. So we're on schedule. We're here with you throughout the insanity going on, throughout the pandemic, whatever other natural disasters or biblical happenings come about, whether it's locusts next or I don't know, tsunamis or tidal waves or 10.0 earthquakes or whatever the hell is next in these end times. We'll be here with you every step of the way. So anyway, guys, let's move on to pro wrestling, which is what the hell you're here for. So let's get on to it with Michael Gross and myself as we break down Monday Night Raw that aired yesterday, June 1st, 2020. Everyone stay safe. I'll talk to you next time. All right, welcome to your Monday Night Raw review. And tonight we've got a special co-host. You guys know him. Michael Gross is back to discuss Monday Night Raw during an absolute insane time in our world. And Michael and I were just talking off the air and saying that we don't think that there's a better time to be able to talk about wrestling and to hopefully get everyone's mind off of social media, off of the news, and anything else that may be going on in your lives that is not of a positive nature. So, Michael, I'm glad to have you back. This is good timing.
Thank you very much. As always, I'm very humbled to be on the show, and I can't wait to talk a little bit of Raw and try to give our listeners a little insight as to the way we see things in the wrestling world today.
Definitely. That's what it's for. And by the way, if anybody has questions or comments, please send them our way. My Twitter is still dead. I'm still suspended without explanation. No idea. For those that are listening, I have no clue what I've done to be put in Twitter jail. But I've been without a Twitter account for two weeks, and I'm dying. So working on getting that repaired. But you can still email me. That thing still works at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. So, Michael, let's start off here, and let's get into Monday Night Raw. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Rey Mysterio. The first thing that comes off of Monday Night Raw, and there's a lot of different ways to go about Raw. There's, I think, actually a lot of good things happening on Raw. Rey Mysterio, who I said this earlier in the week, that Rey Mysterio, I think, has really overachieved in his return to WWE. I think he's being utilized very well. He doesn't seem to have aged too much for how many miles he has on his body. I'm enjoying the program he's having with Seth Rollins right now. It seems as if Dominic could be the one to fight for the family, maybe at Backlash, or maybe Rey Mysterio is somehow cleared for Backlash. It seems like we're headed that way. Maybe it tails itself all the way out to SummerSlam. We'll see. But I don't know about you. What do you think about Rey Mysterio right now and the Seth Rollins program?
Well, at this point, I think that Rey has become timeless. I really never thought that at this point in his career he would still be wrestling, let alone putting on the matches of the caliber that he is, with the injuries, the 20-plus years, the luchador style, traveling around the world, the caliber of opponent, fighting Jushin Liger and so on and so forth. The story that they have with Seth Rollins is beautiful because Seth is trying to say that he's liberating him and retiring him and doing him a favor, and yet, ultimately, the goal here is to get Dominic into wrestling. And that's where I kind of see it, although there is going to be another match between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. And that match is going to be great because I have a feeling that Rey might be at that twilight. He may be going to that next step of going to the Performance Center and becoming a teacher, but he's not going to do it before his son makes his debut. And what I ultimately see is maybe a 2 series of matches with Rollins. Dominic's going to get involved. I think Dominic might shock the world. I think purposefully they have kept him off of NXT. Whatever training he has, he's at that Performance Center. But I really feel that there's something special. There's a little gas left in the tank. If Rey has another year, God bless him. But he might be at that next step, and I don't really see the father-son tag team thing happening. I more or less see it as going towards that next step. It's Dominic's time to shine. He's going to take over for the family while Rey maybe slips into retirement, and maybe we see, a continued angle, but I think we're going to see something really special.
That's a good way to put it. I didn't think of it as the passing of the family torch to Dominic, and that's exactly what it seems like to be. And we got a little taste of that with Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar, where Brock Lesnar was attacking Dominic, and Dominic got a little bit of retribution, and so you saw he can take a bump, he can dish out a little bit of offense, but we haven't seen what he can really do yet. We don't know where he's at skill-wise, and you're right, he may be under the radar here, training his backside off, and we have no idea. But certainly he has really big shoes to fill, almost unfairly large boots to fill with Rey Mysterio as his father. And so he'll have to forge his own legacy. And again, it's hard to not put him against that standard of Rey Mysterio's being his father. But I think Dominic has a bright future. I liked his short promo on Raw, talking about an eye for an eye to Seth Rollins. He doesn't seem like he's trying to play wrestler. He seems authentic. And again, very small sample size, but I like what I've seen so far. And I ultimately think we're going to see a Rey versus Seth Rollins. That's inevitable. But you very well could be right that it's going to be, when Rey retires, that it's Dominic ready to go. That to me would be very poetic, where we have Dominic essentially taking over the family legacy and being signed a contract to WWE and being a full-time performer. Maybe that's a storyline that they run. We've seen it before, where if you win this match, you'll get signed to WWE as a full-time performer, something like that. But yeah, this storyline though, it's been very well executed, and I was very surprised that they did that angle with the eye, seeing the blood come out of his eye. It was very graphic. I really loved the video clip that Seth Rollins said he put together on Monday Night Raw, and it was really well done, and it was such a backwards or a backhanded compliment to Rey Mysterio, because he did all these things and it was just a very nice video package. And at the very end, the last clip was him getting his eye jammed into the stairs. And after that, he said that he would love to be the man to induct Rey Mysterio into the Hall of Fame. I cracked up at that. Right now we're getting the best version of Seth Rollins as well.
Well, his Messiah character I really like. A lot of people complain about it and they say, well, that's not who he is. I want the old Seth Rollins back. No, actually, I love the evolution of the character. That's why Chris Jericho lasted for so long. That's why Kurt Angle lasted for so long. To some extent, you could put Rey in that category. He was, the small luchador, then he became, the filthy animal, then he became the masked luchador again, then he went traveling to rediscover himself when he was, let go by WWE, comes back as the mentor. Now, one thing I'll touch before I'm going to touch back on Rollins is what I see with Dominic is two different things. I see the Braun Strowman route where they keep it off television to make it special, to show you when he makes his debut, this kid can really go. Because I think that too many people would see a favoritism moment if he was on NXT. Not necessarily the way – I don't think Charlotte was favoritism because she was a woman and she was following in her father's footsteps, but it wasn't like a David Flair moment when that was really obviously bad. But I also see this whole storyline somewhat reminiscent of when Dustin Rhodes broke out. Because no one watched him wrestle until he had his moment on Saturday night's main event watching his dad wrestle. Gets smacked around by the $1 Million Man. Next thing you know, he's in a ring, and all of a sudden everybody's going, this kid can wrestle. But you didn't see him get trained on TV. You didn't get to see him trained in developmental or anything else. So at first you might have thought, oh, it's his son, or oh, he's not going to be a good wrestler. How many years has he been in? Another guy who reinvented himself. Now, go ahead. I hear you.
No. That's okay. That's okay. I was just drinking my water.
Okay. As far as Seth Rollins goes, though, I love his character. I love the way he says he wants to induct him. And I think that coming up as a young man, he was probably heavily influenced by Rey Mysterio. So I do really think that there is some truth to these scripted statements. I think he's had a lot of influence on putting those words out, because this isn't your typical WWE writer banter. This is slow, methodical, and he's putting his own timestamp on it. I'm loving the way he's almost making Rey Mysterio his god, and he's the Messiah as the conduit doing for him, like the dark side of Rey. I think that there could be a little bit more to this. Like, I think he's going to spin it more to, if Rey doesn't retire, that Rey is forcing him to take out his frustrations on other people, and that Rey is going to force him to do malevolent things and level people and level cities and destroy everything in his path, because he's doing Rey's will until Rey finally puts it to bed. I can see that, and I could see that program lasting 3 or 4 months and just being beautiful, going through SummerSlam if they have it. But right now, we're getting a whole entree. We're not getting appetizers. You know my food analogies. We're not getting drinks. We're getting a whole entree. And especially if you go a couple of months and you build it that way, and I can see it going that way, I think we got something really special here.
That was well said, and you're absolutely right about the entree thing. Food analogies are good, and I'm actually, you're making me kind of hungry. I didn't have a great day, but that being said, Rey Mysterio, right? This program absolutely has legs. I think if you were to put me on the spot, I guess I'll put myself on the spot, is how long this program lasts. I think is exactly that, through SummerSlam, because to recover from an eye injury and be cleared by WWE personnel, even in storyline land, I don't think it's going to happen before Backlash. Backlash is a week from Sunday. So even in that land, I don't think it happens. I really don't think we'll get a Backlash match. If we do, I'll be shocked. And if we do, I think Seth Rollins will win, and this program will continue. I mean, it doesn't end until the babyface gets a clean victory over the heel, 9 times out of 10. So, yes, this could string along quite a ways. And to be honest, I like the chemistry with Rey and with Seth, just their natural chemistry, the way that they interact. And Seth Rollins is going to be having a baby probably in, 6 months or so, and he's going to be a dad. He doesn't need to be in the title picture at all, because what are they going to do when he's out from paternity leave? I mean, he's going to be being dad. You can't have a guy that's champion if you're going to take the title off, like, say, Drew McIntyre, put it on him. You can't have him in a major championship potentially taking months off to be with his wife and his kid. So there's that WWE has to plan for. So putting him in a very relevant semi-main with Rey Mysterio is great. And this is, like you and I said, I think it's really underestimated how important Dominic's going to be in this story. And yes, it's about Rey, and yes, it's about Seth, but this, to me, is really not just about Rey and Seth, but more importantly, it is about Dominic, because he's the one who's going to be here a lot longer than Rey Mysterio. So honestly, this is just well done, considering there is a limited audience, and with the WWE, what is it, the NXT trainees that are being playing the part of the WWE fans and reacting the way that WWE wishes that the fans would react all the time, and booing the heels and cheering the good guys. But honestly, I'm kind of really surprised at how well this storyline has panned out, and how much I'm really looking forward to seeing the end result, the blow off of this. And it seems as if this has 3 to 4 months of legs, if WWE wants to go that far. I don't know. This, to me, looks like it ends at SummerSlam, if you were going to ask me.
Yeah, I really don't see it going past SummerSlam. But as you said, not only does it have legs, it also has depth and texture, because you've got Rollins basically telling him, hang it up. And there's a lot of fans who are saying, okay, I was watching Rey 20 years ago, hang it up. Now, even though he still has gas in the tank and he can still go and he's lost a step, hey, I'm 44. I've lost a step too. But, I don't stop going to work, and I don't blame him for not stopping to go to work. But I love the fact that he's saying what Rey detractors want to say. And it's adding so much realism. The fact that they're not facing each other every week, and there's no BS contract signing. I can't stand those anymore.
I know.
It's so overdone. I can't stand, just like silly things they do almost every month. And keeping them apart is good. Keeping Seth on his path of destruction is good. With his disciples, I love Buddy Murphy. He's still going to be Buddy to me. I love Austin Theory in that role, because that guy is so talented, and he has 2 incredibly talented people to learn from, but especially with Seth to learn from. I see, and especially if Dominic gets involved, not only did he have his father, who's deemed one of the greatest luchadors of all time, to learn from, he's learning from Seth. This is nothing but good writing. It's creative at its best. They gave us a full story. They are not clashing every week. There's no pull-aparts every week. There's no hitting somebody with a car that makes no sense. You're giving us a real story, and I'm loving it, and I'm loving the fact that I've got a feeling, and especially I noticed this last night too, Dominic looks more slender than he did before.
Yes.
So that tells me he's taking care of himself and he's getting in the ring and he's learning things. I really think we're all going to be surprised, and I can't wait for that surprise. Even though we know it's coming, I think there's going to be something that just blows our mind. SummerSlam, it's got to be over. I can see different routes it goes down, but, there's a lot of Raw to cover, so it's all up to you.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think we'll kind of wrap up there. I think we've really analyzed that well. I mean, because people, I think, are overlooking the whole Dominic feature here, and I hope that we are, because I don't want this to just be about Rey and Seth, and then Dominic is just the third party. If it is, I'll be disappointed. If he just ends up taking a couple of bumps or saving his dad from maybe the other eye getting crushed in, and then ends up, getting injured himself, and he just kind of plays that weak third party, I really hope that's not the case. And again, you and I are just hopeful that it's the whole, he's been training his butt off for many, many months, and people don't even know because no one's talking about it. No one is talking about this, and I think that's a good thing that we've picked up on it, because Dominic here is the future, and he'll carry that family legacy for years to come. So you said pull aparts, and I guess my next topic, you made me do it, is Lashley and Drew McIntyre. That last week was the pull apart, but
yes.
This week was MVP versus Drew McIntyre in the most predictable outcome that you could have, but that's okay, because honestly, I don't know about you, but I am loving MVP in this role of Bobby Lashley's manager. I think he is doing a brilliant job, as more than I could have expected. His in-ring days are, they're adequate. He can still be in a match, but I think he really excels as the manager and being a mouthpiece for Lashley. And we've seen it week after week now. So Drew gets a Claymore. He gets the victory over MVP. And that's not really the story here. The story is Lashley and Drew McIntyre. And before I give my full thoughts on it, how are you enjoying? Are you enjoying this more than you thought you may have? Or are you kind of a little bit bored by it? How do you feel about Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the championship at Backlash?
I'm okay with it for a lot of reasons. One, Bobby Lashley's an animal, and he's never got his true billing as an animal since his early days when he first came into WWE in the 2005-ish era. And first of all, if anybody ever looks at his Bellator career or his Bellator fights, he is an animal. He can take people out. He's a legitimate bone crusher. He's not going to stop unless you stop him. And I always wanted to see him versus Brock Lesnar, and everybody said, well, it's UFC versus Bellator. I'll tell you what. Anybody who wants to fight a Bellator fighter, be my guest, and we're going to see how well you feel at the end of the day. Also, Brock Lesnar's been retired, so therefore he would have to fight in Bellator now, so it would be so-called even playing ground. With that being said, Lashley needs this. MVP, like you said, his in-ring is limited, but this role of, it's like the player-coach role, and I love it that he does limited wrestling, but he really shouldn't be in there as much. But I love the fact that he still goes out there. In fact, I wouldn't mind if they gave him a win over an NXT up-and-comer, just to keep him relevant. I wish they would take Lana out of the equation, and I feel that's slowly going to be the way it goes, but not before she costs him a match. But he needs to be in this position. He needs to be elevated to that top guy, whether it be face or heel. Not necessarily the face of the company, not necessarily the champion, but that credibility factor has always been there, and he's eaten too many losses, especially by sometimes flash-in-the-pan people, sometimes the schoolboy roll-up. Please ban the roll-up. And Drew McIntyre's a huge guy. It looks like two huge knuckle-dragging Neanderthals are going to slug it out, but it's going to be somewhat artistic. I see Lashley going with some, I don't want to say more amateur moves like the Brock Lesnar style, the suplexes and everything, but I think he's going to use some definite roll-through maneuvers. I think he's going to up his repertoire of moves as he evolves more towards a main event star. As far as Drew McIntyre, I see him winning this, but it also cements him if Lashley looks good. Honestly, this wouldn't bother me if it ended in a DQ, just because I don't want to always have a continued program do 50-50 booking, but I think it it makes both of them look that much bigger if they really take out a bigger person. And those guys are as big as they get right now on the Raw side of the spectrum. So I say I like it. Of course, Lashley has never been a good orator, and I think MVP is a great mouthpiece, a perfect mouthpiece. You couldn't have a better guy for it. So watching it evolve, I think, is going to be great. I think I would have had it be a build. I would have had McIntyre going against somebody else with Lashley interfering to build up to SummerSlam. Give it that old school 4-month build. Same thing we want with Rey and Seth. I would like with that just to make it bigger. I would even have Lashley go over, just bulldoze over. I'm trying to think who's, of that caliber level, because you have Seth Rollins who's in that tier. It'd have to be Kevin Owens, but it'd have to be a fight, but it'd have to be something where he maybe just, I like the full Nelson, but I don't like it as a finisher. I'd like it to where the guy starts to fade and he does the full Nelson Patriot, full Nelson slam. I think that'd be a better finisher. But maybe have him do that to Owens while the ref is knocked out 3 or 4 times, just to stand over a carcass and then pin him. So we see, because Owens was always a universal champion or a world champion, he's that caliber. He just decimated a man. And not only did he do it, he did it ruthlessly. So going towards McIntyre, we have a little bit more doubt over who might win the match.
We do. We do have more doubt on who could win this, although regardless of what they try to tell us the next time around on Raw, I don't believe for a single second that Lashley would become champion. I just still don't. And I think that's partly due to a couple things. One, typically WrestleMania championship wins stick for 6 months. Minimum. That's where you have matches mean something, you have outcomes mean something, you have championship changes mean something. Number 2, Bobby Lashley's really only been relevant again for the last month or so. So having him just tear through who his opponents were over the last month and a half or so is not enough for me to believe that he is a true contender, or a true threat rather, to Drew McIntyre's championship. Now, that being said, I do like the fact that a DQ finish is on the table for you, and hopefully for WWE, because number one, you're not going to piss off fans because no one's there. You may anger the NXT trainees, right? But there's nobody there to get angry of a DQ wonky finish. But I think it's the right finish because I don't think either guy can afford to lose. You have Drew McIntyre, who just beat Brock Lesnar, who just beat Seth Rollins, and you can't have him lose to Bobby Lashley clean, or even in a funky way. And Bobby Lashley, who has just been resurrected, so to speak, and yes, I think has potential to really be a massive heel in WWE, and he can't afford to lose because you'll kill all of the goodwill that you've built over the last month with him being a monster. Now, that would require him getting rid of Lana. You've mentioned it. I think Lana needs to just go away. I don't need to see Lana anymore. I am done seeing Lana on my screen. And, yeah, she's a pretty woman. I'm a straight guy. And that's coming from a straight guy's perspective of, I'm done. I don't need to see Lana anymore. She detracts to me from the story. She's the afterthought now, and that whole silliness over 4 or 5 months ago with her and Rusev, that to me damaged so much from Lashley. Damaged Rusev. It damaged everyone involved. Some people loved it. I thought it was complete hot crap, but I just, there's still that remaining stench from that, and Lana is that remaining stench, and I think she just needs to go away. I'm not saying get fired from WWE, just maybe do something else, have her be divorced, and I don't know, just go away. She doesn't need to be involved in this. It's 2 guys, 2 alpha males that are going head to head for the championship. That's all I need to care about. I don't need this third party, but it seems like she'll rear her head in this in the outcome, which is probably going to be, she's going to be the one to cost Lashley probably at Backlash. That's my guess if it's not a DQ finish. But Lashley, to me, this will be my last point, and then I'll toss it back to you, is he, to me, is more important to build than Drew is right now. And I say that with being a massive Drew McIntyre fan, because Drew has been he's a made man right now. He has beaten Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He beat Seth Rollins. He feels and looks like a champion. There's no regret, at least from my end, of wanting to see Drew as champion. He is what I would hope he would be as champion. He just feels and looks authentically the part. So he is a made guy. Right now, Lashley is rebuilding himself. He hasn't had a championship match in 13 years. We know the history. He looks like a machine. He cannot afford to lose. To me, this is Lashley who WWE needs to focus more on building Lashley, because WWE needs stars. They need mega heels right now. Brock Lesnar's on a part-time schedule. He's not around much. There's not a lot of top heels. Yes, you have Seth, but he's not in the championship picture and probably won't be for a while. So Lashley it's extremely important that they focus on Lashley, because they have something here with him and they have something here with MVP, and that's, to me, it's a magic combination. This isn't Leo Rush and his poses showing his ass. This is right, and that's exactly how I react. This is a legitimate, authentic duo that you could see carrying a championship and it feeling like they belong. And so, to me, again, my final point is that this should be about Lashley even more than it is about Drew.
I love the way you look at it. I think that it's like you said. This is Drew is already cemented where he is. He's the guy that they promised us 10 years ago. Now, with that, he's evolved. He has made that change. He made the sacrifice of leaving the company, rebuilding himself, coming back, great shape. His work ethic is through the roof. It's like you said, taking out Brock Lesnar, taking out Seth Rollins, taking out the Big Show, even though that doesn't really count for anything anymore. I hate to say it, but it's true. Now, Lashley, you know what I think would help his character? And you're going to laugh at this one, but I'm going to bounce it off you. Are you ready?
His three sisters?
No. When he fights in Bellator, he lost a tooth. He has a fake tooth. I think he should take the tooth out. When he fights Drew, I think when Drew claymores him, the tooth should come out. They could gimmick the tooth, okay, and maybe have a blood capsule, okay, but then have him kick out and just zoom in on that image of his bloody mouth missing the tooth, and then have him go forward without the tooth. It sounds really silly, but it's going to make him look grittier. It's going to make him look tough. And especially if he kicks out of a claymore and lost a tooth, you're going, this guy is a machine. It's just a good visual, a good gimmicked moment. And then we could have that DQ finish. We could keep building. Lana could go on to be one of these talk show hosts. That way Kevin Owens doesn't have to, or MVP doesn't have to do it anymore. He can be full-time player coach with Lashley, and we've got a grittier version. He maybe grow a little stubble, not a full beard, because it seems like everybody's got a beard, and I did it first. But I will say one thing is working against him. I do not like the full-length leggings. I hate them. If you have legs the size of tree trunks, you shouldn't be covering them up.
Yeah, I agree.
But with that being said, just a moment like that, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the Bret Hart Stone Cold, and it's not a double turn, but give me the fact, we already know he can beat up jobbers. We already know that he can take out, maybe Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo at the same time, even if they're not friends. We get that. We see that he can flip tires. Lana's got to go. MVP's got to stay. And we just need one cemented moment where he doesn't lose and he just looks insane. You give that to me, we've got a superstar on our hands. No longer an upper mid-card. He's top tier.
Yep. I'm all on board for this. This, to me, is a missed opportunity. If WWE swings and misses on Bobby Lashley this time around, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I really don't know. This guy has never caused any negative publicity for you, as far as I know. And he is an absolute monster. He looks the part. Yeah, he can't talk, but neither can Brock Lesnar. That's why he has Paul Heyman. And that's what MVP would provide for Bobby Lashley. So the fact that he can't cut a promo is okay. He can get by with that because he has such a great stand-in for that. He has somebody to think and talk for him. That's fine. I get it. It works for Brock, and it can work for Lashley. I'm okay with his finish. It's a little bit of a throwback to Chris Masters. If you remember, he did like the
the Master Lock.
the Master Lock challenge, and I remember Shawn Michaels was the one, he almost broke out of it or something. I mean, so it's kind of a throwback to that. That's what that reminded me of. It certainly makes sense given his size that he would be able to legitimately put that hold on almost anybody. I'm okay with it because it adds depth to his moveset. It doesn't always have to be about the spear. How many guys have used the spear over the last few months? I mean, it's over. I'm done with it, right? I mean, you have Lashley, you have Goldberg, you have Roman Reigns. And so I'm done with the spear. Edge, I mean, there's another one, right? So the spear, to me, it's overused. I'm okay with him going towards the full Nelson. So I guess the point is, this, to me, is the biggest opportunity Lashley has had in his entire career in WWE. Bigger than the hair versus hair of him versus Umaga and back at WrestleMania, 22 or something like that?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. I mean, so it's a bigger opportunity than that. This is Bobby Lashley in his, I would say, the later years of his career, for sure. Yeah, he looks like $1 million, but Father Time gets us all. This is the time to pull the trigger. If not, when?
He needs at least one time before he goes out a real world championship reign. It doesn't have to be a year. It could be 6 months, but he deserves it. He's worked hard, and okay. I hate to say this because I believe that my last statement did not put the his Impact or TNA World Championship on a pedestal, but compared to WWE, it's not, and that's not me making fun of them because Impact did some really good stuff a long time ago. With that being said, though, he deserves, and not an ECW run like that. I hate to see him have an NXT championship. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but he needs a main roster, either SmackDown or Raw, either Universal or WWE. Build the monster, build him for 6 months, let him have a 6-month title run, and then after that, there's still I still see the guy sticking around for at least another 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. And there's things you can do with it. You could have a face turn a couple of years down the road, but I don't want to see him like Chris Jericho was throughout his second coming on up to when he left WWE. I'm a face, I'm a heel, I'm a face, I'm a heel. I must be best friends with the Big Show because he does it too. And I know you can get those people over on either way, but you can't with Bobby Lashley. He's better off as a face, but we can make a true monster as a heel. And as Jim Ross has always said, if you think someone's really good at what they are and that's the only way you've seen them, then their best character is the polar opposite.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Very true. It's very true, and that could be the case here. And to be honest, there's no better time for WWE to do whatever the heck they want because there's no fans to be there to ruin it or not get the reaction they want. This is the time to experiment. I mean, look what they've done with the United States Championship with Apollo Crews. Do you think we would have saw that if we were in front of a live crowd? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. But this is the time to do whatever they want to do, and if it starts to catch fire and there's generally a positive response on social media, I think they'll continue whenever the heck they get back to a live audience format. So, yeah, look, I think we're on the same page here with Bobby Lashley, and a month from now we could be sitting here and going, all right, well, we don't know what Lashley's doing right now, but Drew McIntyre's moved on. I hope that's not the case. I hope that Lashley doesn't just get flattened with a claymore and it's 1, 2, 3 and he gets a clean victory. If that happens, as much as I love Drew McIntyre as champion, to me the downside of not building another new star, a guy that's a veteran who is you could call him a ring general and an overall reliable guy that's not going to put a black eye on the company. If you're going to sacrifice that and not take a chance, I mean, to me, they missed the boat. I mean, maybe I'm not seeing something, but any final comments on that?
No, I mean, I think we're in 100% agreement, and I really think that like you said, this is Lashley's time. We don't want to have it at the expense of Drew McIntyre unless we really draw this out. There's one thing that I've been thinking about, and maybe you could shed some light on this, but I feel that with no fans in the audience and with writers getting canned left and right and furloughed, I feel that right now they're going to go towards a longer storyline instead of the 3-week gimmick that they've been using to build 12 yearly pay-per-views. And if that's the truth, then we might actually get some better storylines and not just have, well, I'm going to fight Kevin Owens this week. Oh, well, I beat him, so in 3 weeks you better be watching out, Edge. You know, I think that we're actually going to have stuff that goes more towards those big four because they have more money to lose in those big four than they do in the monthly pay-per-views that, frankly, I think both of us can agree Money in the Bank didn't impress. At least didn't impress with the cinematic stuff. Mm-hmm. So I really feel that this could be the time that they're going to go back to building towards the big four because there's so much more money to lose in those, especially when you go live and you can't sell out those venues like you used to. You do a 10,000 seat WrestleMania, I got news for you. All Elite did that. That puts a little sweat on you. So I think that we could be seeing something special out of this, and Lashley could be the very first person to benefit from this situation.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he is in a very prime position right now to take that spot, and having less writers in any company is better. I mean, just because you have more people in there, yeah, there may be better ideas kind of hidden, but there are too many, as Jim Ross would say, since we're quoting Jim Ross, there are too many cooks in the kitchen. There's just too many damn people trying to satisfy Vince McMahon rather than satisfying what's best for business, so to speak, and what's best for a pro wrestling presentation. They're always just trying to serve Vince, which what serving Vince is doesn't always simultaneously mean the best thing for the company. So there's always that conflict of interest for the writers who are getting, as you said, they drop like flies. They're a dime a dozen. So they're in fear of their job, so they write to Vince McMahon rather than writing to the story and what would be good for a story. So, if there's less, I think that's great, because then, yes, you have time to flesh out long-term stories. I am such a fan of long-term stories, and just seeing things through and rewarding fans for paying attention to detail, not forgetting about the past. Those things, just congruity, basic storytelling is often missed in WWE. So if that's the case, hey, hell yeah. I mean, I'm on board for fewer writers as long as they're given the flexibility to come to an agreement of, hey, this is what we want to do. Here's where we want to go, and here's A, B, C, D, and E to get us there. Right, so as long as they know the destination and they work backwards, it's just like writing a book. You have to know where you're going in order to give the steps to get there. So, all right. Well, speaking of champions, Apollo Crews is our United States champion. I'll toss it to you. How do you feel about this?
I absolutely love it, and I'm going to tell you why. I've been following him for probably 6 or 7 years since he was Uhaa Nation in the Indies. The guy's incredibly talented. He is not a good promo. He wrestled mostly in Japan and big-time indies like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the guy can do everything and anything. And I don't want to bring his name up, but Jim Ross said that he believed at one point he could be the first true black champion. This is before Kofi years ago when they first signed him. I think that his early-on career coming up from NXT was mismanaged. I believe that they pulled him up way too soon because they knew he was talented, and I think they wanted the next Dolph Ziggler. We're going to start him out with a pop. Kids are going to love him, and then because he's so good, we're going to have him job. His match last night against Kevin Owens before it got turned into a tag team was a little sloppy. I didn't think it was his regular work or up to par, but I absolutely love it because he's finally getting his chance, and I blame that on two things. One, like we were talking about with the writers, less is more. We have so many wrestlers who are fired, furloughed, and who will not touch a ring because they're afraid for their health, and God bless them for it. You have to work with what you have, and now finally we're looking at that gem, that diamond in the rough, and we're saying, let's go for it. Now, mind you, he needs a little bit more edge. He needs to stop smiling as much as he did. He needs a little bit, not a catchphrase, but just a little – we got to tweak that character just a little bit more. he can't always be appreciative and happy, and it just reminds me of a poor man's New Day. And I hate to use that because it sounds racial, but it's not. It just seems that way. He can't be, oh, it's so much this and so much opportunity and that. I would like to see, especially you saw this like a month ago, it looked like he was going towards a heel turn. And with he and Kevin last night in that back and forth, it almost made you think, who's going to turn heel? I would love it if Apollo did. I don't want to see him come out and smile anymore, unless he's smiling like Ted DiBiase because he's got something up his sleeve. But the fact is, the guy's got all the talent in the world. He's strong as an ox. He can do anything in that ring. I'm glad he got his moment. I just wish that's another thing that needed more storyline built to it, more with he and Andrade. I wish they could have done a little bit more with that. But aside from that, I'm very supportive of him having the U.S. Championship. It just needs more legs underneath it. We're crawling. It's time to stand up. Yeah,
no, I in my show, the heck was I'm losing track of my days yesterday. Sunday. With Ashley, I mentioned that it seems like secretly it's African American History Month in WWE. And I don't mean disrespectfully, just when you think about the prominence of the African American performers, hey, they main evented Raw, all were African Americans last week in a tag team match. They have Bobby Lashley in a championship match. They have Apollo Crews as United States champion. All of a sudden, I'm sure it wasn't planned like that, but it's noticeable. I'm totally supportive of it. And now you have Apollo Crews out of nowhere winning the United States Championship like an RKO, just boom, and he wins it. And at first I was a little bit annoyed that Andrade dropped it here, and because I see so much in Andrade in long championship runs. He had Zelina Vega. He seemed to have a lot of momentum behind him. He formed this group that couldn't last more than a week, and they just disintegrated and got their heads Claymore kicked off, 100 times. And I wasn't a fan of a group that just formed, getting destroyed on a weekly basis, even if it's at the hands of Drew McIntyre. I mean, and again, for those that listen to my Sunday show, it's a little bit repetitive here, but in the interest of getting a response from you, I guess, is typically the rule in WWE is when someone debuts or a new group forms, they go on a winning streak. You have to establish them as dominant, as a threat, as a force, get their name on the map. And in this case, I have never, ever seen a group form and lose so quickly. I mean, even the League of Nations, as bad as that group was not like this. So, I have never seen that. And I'm like, oh, this could be something. They've got Austin Theory. They've got Angel Garza. They've got Zelina Vega being the mouthpiece. And they've got Andrade. And what happens week after week after week? Claymore, loss. Dissension between Austin Theory and Angel Garza. Lost the United States Championship. I mean, I have never seen a group form and disintegrate so quickly. Have you?
No. It's rather perturbing. Actually, the only group I ever saw form and disintegrate more quickly were the Outcasts, but they were never supposed to be taken seriously to begin with. Yeah. My problem with it is McMahon loves Andrade, and I love Andrade too. I think he's incredibly talented. Of course, he wants him to be the next Mexican superstar, and you and I have discussed this before. Rey Mysterio is a Mexican superstar because he's Rey Mysterio. La Sombra is a Mexican superstar because he's La Sombra, but now he's Andrade Cien Almas, and you've got a bunch of people in Mexico going, who's this guy? We're used to our guy under a mask. He kind of looks like him, and now he's laying down for who? So I see that as like one of those things where Vince tested the waters and said, well, I'm not getting my Hispanic market. Well, you can't get a Hispanic market when you keep changing who the luchador was that you took from them. And I think also because of, wellness policy violations, I think it's kind of a punishment too. But I don't want to see this group decimated. I love Angel Garza's character. I love how he flirts with Charlie, and Charlie's supposed to be this cute, sweet, baby face kind of interviewer, but she's smitten with this guy who's slimy and creepy, and he's like Danny Zuko from Grease, just waiting to try to put the moves on at the drive-in theater. And Zelina Vega, what more can you say about a woman as talented as she is? And when she starts wrestling, that's going to blow people's minds. But she's a great mouthpiece. She can get heat. She can she can throw a Hurricane Rana on you like Lita could, and you feel like she hit you like one of the guys because she does it with such velocity and such amount of fly time, and it's crisp. It's not sloppy. It's not treat me like a girl because I'm going to go over soft. It's perfect. This group needed to stick together. I'm okay with it just being the two. I wish it would be more. I don't want to see them get decimated by one person. I think it was a disgrace to have them get hurt by Drew. I need Drew. Let me try that again. I know that Drew needed to get over, and of course, if you're going over a champion, it makes you look so strong, but it also hurts that undercard title. There are other ways around it. There's ways of Humberto Carrillo being forced to join the group, and he has to take the job, but it shouldn't have been Andrade. The group needs to be tighter. I'm tired of it only being three-man groups. We can have a fourth. It's okay. We can have a fifth. We can have a real stable. I'd like to see a stable. Not a ton of them. Maybe 2 or 3. But I'd like to see these things. And Zelina Vega is a great asset to any program. And it's right. It's a disgrace. For them to be the knockaround guys is terrible. For he being the person to lose to Apollo, as much as I love Apollo, is terrible. Without any storyline, without any legs, anything. It just didn't make sense. I got the fact that they were supposed to have a program a month ago, but you can't just abruptly start and stop that program today. I don't open a book, read the first page, and then, get an infection in my eye, then read the last page, and oh well. And that's what I feel happened here.
Yeah, I feel like I got robbed. I feel like they started a really good book, like you said. That chapter 1 got me good. And then they ripped out the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and they go, well, here's chapter 10. Well, what the hell happened between 2 through 9? That's exactly what happened here. I don't know why they started and stopped this so fast. It's a McMahonism. I'm sure that as he changes the colors of the week, whatever his favorite is, we all know that he tears up scripts before the show and all that kind of thing, and that's so evident here. I don't know why this group was just formed to be the sacrificial lambs to build Drew. I don't understand that. To me, again, I love Drew as champion. That's not the problem. If I didn't love him so much as champion, I would hate this even more. But to me, yeah, like what are they doing with this group? And yeah, at least we do have Angel Garza and Andrade together. So there is the last remaining piece of this what could have been group that are together, and Zelina Vega there too, and had a very interesting hairstyle. I've never seen it before on Raw.
I loved it. I loved the cap.
Yeah, it was a nice change from her normal whatever bun that she does or ponytail or whatever. I mean, she's an incredibly good-looking woman. I mean, she can do whatever she wants. But it was nice to see that slight variation in her hair to just kind of change things up slightly. But anyway, back to Apollo Crews as champion. I'm fine with it just to see what their end game is with it. Is he going to go on a 3-4 month run with it? Is he going to be a transitional champion? What's going to be the case? And to be totally honest with you, not to tie in real life stuff to pro wrestling, but WWE is extremely conscious of how they're perceived by the mass audience and making sure that they cater to all audiences and are sensitive to topics going on in the real world. I will be totally honest with you in saying, and maybe you totally disagree, and that's fine, but my history watching WWE and all of the PR that they do, making sure that their perception is charity and all this kind of stomach-churning stuff at times, I really believe that given the events of the world, that they don't want to potentially anger anybody that may perceive dropping the championship from Apollo Crews to, say, another superstar that's white would be a good thing for them to do. At least that would be their perception. That's probably the discussion. So does the real world rear its ugly head in WWE for WWE to say, hey, wait a minute, given what's going on in the world, we should probably keep this belt on Apollo Crews for a little while. Do you think that has any bearing on him keeping the belt longer than maybe they originally planned?
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because I did not know how to preface this, okay? Both you and I being white men, and both of you and I, for a fact, are not racist men at all,
Correct.
okay? So we can use terms like black and white. I can use African American if people prefer. But right now, with everything going on that's in the world, and especially with the riots that are going on, the protests that are going on, I do feel that it had a huge influence on what's going on within the last 2 weeks. Not more than that. I still think that Lashley was supposed to be billed for this because that was starting prior to this whole shift in culture right now, especially in the major cities.
Yep.
With that being said, do I think that has something to do with Apollo getting the title so fast? Perhaps. I don't know. You don't know. It could have been in the works a month ago. Now, was it pushed through the system because of this? I say there's a very strong chance that happened because WWE has always been perceived as a racist company. I hate to say it, but we all know it.
It's true.
And with that being said also, and going forward from that, and this is my next segue on this, and so yes, I do agree with you that I think that this whole thing between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders needs to go away real fast. Because while you have it supposedly quelled, but not purposefully, or it could be debated or make it up for argument, we've got a blatant contest between Vikings. You don't get much more, how do you put it, Germanic, Nordic, blonde hair, blue-eyed, supposedly, and, an African-American contingent, and you're fighting to see who's the best. This is not the time for these vignettes. One, they suck. They are god-awful, and they insult our intelligence. But two, this is not the time for stuff like that because it can start a Twitter war. It can start a public backlash. It can start a lot of things, and I'm surprised that it hasn't already.
I am too. I'm surprised that it hasn't too, and you're right. This needs to be stamped out real quick with the Street Profits. And yes, they're the Raw Tag Team Champions, so they have that going for them. And so, you really have almost every major title on Raw either being held by a black man or one at least challenging for another. But yes, like the fact is with this whole bowling challenge, and they had basketball, like they have all these things that
Stupid.
are just it is. I don't understand why Vince needs to put this in any of his shows. And he would say, well, we serve a lot of audiences. It's not just, the 18 to 34 demo, of which I don't even fall in anymore. I have officially graduated this year from the 18 to 34 demo. But the fact is that, yeah, he would say, well, who exactly is that serving? Like, what demographic does this serve? Tell me what the age group and the race of these people are. Like, who are these people? Tell me who they are. And I don't think he would have an answer. I don't know who enjoys this kind of thing if we're supposed to believe that the guys that are holding a major championship, a prestigious championship on Raw, are more concerned about doing bowling and basketball than they are about getting paid six figures or more to compete in a company that supposedly they have struggled their whole lives to get to, but we're worried about going and doing a bowling challenge. I mean, like, it's just entertainment. Well, no, it's not, because it takes away from the championship meaning something. These guys, all four men, who are supposed to be rivals, competing in a game that it's like a Saturday afternoon at a family party. Like, I don't need this kind of crap. That just, it doesn't serve any, it's not entertaining, it's not funny, it is the worst of pro wrestling. And some of you may disagree, I know we have people that do, but I don't know in what world this is entertaining at all. I mean, I just don't. And so, yeah, they need to stamp this out real quick.
I think it just needs to die. First of all, it's one of those vignette scenes that was outdated in the 80s. It reminds me of like when Mr. Perfect, golfed a perfect game. Everything was a whole. It was so hokey, and I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. I think you want to prove who's the best. Give me a best of 7, and give me knockdown like every Raw. Give me 20 minutes between these two because I know they can do it. I want the Viking Raiders to be like War Machine. I don't want them. It's not like when I was a kid and I saw the sheep herders in the UWF and NWA and they were bloody and they're crazy, and then I see them in the WWF come out and they're doing a little bit of a goofy walk, but I was like, these guys are awesome. Then they're called the Bushwhackers. I'm like, well, that's what Vince does. Then I see them licking each other's heads and acting like they're special needs and they don't know up from down and losing every match, and I'm going, what happened to these guys? And that's what's happened to the Viking Raiders. It disgusts me. I want to see – I know what they can do. I know what the Profits can do. And I know really it's all about Montez Ford becoming a superstar on his own. It's gonna – that's what this whole thing is about. I feel bad for Dawkins because he's going to get flushed down the road. And I hate to say it, but we all see it coming. But brass tacks and baseball bats, let's get down to it. If you want to prove who's the best, give me a best-of-7 series, and let's just knock it out of the park and maybe have 2 gimmick matches. Only 2. One to start it like a Texas Tornado match. Something, go old school that we haven't seen in a while, and give that to me, and then regular singles matches for 5 matches, and then the last one, the tiebreaker, give me a Russian chain. Give me a dog collar match. Can you imagine those 4 in a dog collar match, but the dog collars were long enough and returning to it and just take the governor off it. Let them do what they do best because all 4 of those guys can go. Take the goofy gimmicks out of it. If you want to cut a promo, do it backstage. Keep it to a minute. That's it. I don't want to see bowling. I don't want to see golf. I don't want to see darts. I don't want to see jarts. I don't want to see any of that silly stuff that insults my intelligence, that insults a 10-year-old's intelligence. And the fact that it's a 10-minute plus vignette when there are 2 people from NXT who could be in that ring showing off what they could do, saying we want to be on Raw.
That's it. It's damn insulting, and it doesn't do anything other than Vince just trying to, on a weekly basis, run from the identity of being a pro wrestling company. I mean, that they have been trying to run from that, but the problem is that pro wrestling is their shadow, and the more that they run, guess what comes with you? Your shadow. You will not outrun what you are, and that is a professional wrestling company. As much as they will try to define themselves as entertainment, pro wrestling is inherently entertaining. Don't throw entertainment at me as if it's some kind of other genre. It is, entertainment is done through various vehicles. It's not just in and of itself a thing. Like, I can't say to you, entertain me. You're going to say, well, how the hell do I do that? Just entertain me. Well, that doesn't do anything. That's not a thing. You have to do something to entertain me. And that's what pro wrestling is. So when they put sports entertainment, well, that's not a thing. Like, so I love when they try to use that term as a mask for what they truly are, and that's a professional wrestling company. I don't care what they try to do, movies, and they try to do short skits or whatever, or any kind of this other silly crap that we see with the Viking Raiders and Montez Ford and Dawkins. Again, that's just a microcosm of the much larger issue that we see now with no fans in attendance. They can kind of run amok with Mandy Rose having dreams about Otis that makes no sense on SmackDown.
So terrible.
And we had, the Boneyard match and the whole Firefly Funhouse and the Money in the Bank ladder match. They're just running amok, because it's like the parents aren't home and they're able to just do whatever the hell they want. But to your point about Angelo Dawkins, yeah, he's clearly not the star of the team, just as Otis was the star of Heavy Machinery. There's always a bigger star on a team. 9 times out of 10, unless you're the Usos, you have a bigger star on the team. That's just the way that tag team, that's the nature of tag teams. There's always a bigger star, usually 9 times out of 10. So, yeah, I'm getting me riled up.
No, look, I look back to, I told you I was a big NWA fan, but I looked at the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors stuck together. You look at the Midnight Express, they stuck together. It might have broken up, but they were still the Midnight Express. It was never, we're going to have to push Bobby Eaton. He only got pushed when he couldn't have a partner anymore. You look at the Killer Bees. They were the Killer Bees. It's tag teams used to mean something. They were a tag team for life. Now, Vince puts it together with the idea of one person's going to be good, one person might learn, and we might be able to do something with them later, but we have nothing else. And the best case scenario I can say is when you look at who came out of NXT a while ago, or the names of some of these tag teams like Mizdow, that's so stupid, and just Breezango. How about I just spread my legs and you kick me in the groin as hard as you can? That's not a tag team name, so how am I supposed to believe they're a tag team? And then Enzo and Cass, that's the name of a tag team? No, that means you're going to split them up and they're going to be their own identities. Do not insult my intelligence. That's how I feel about tag teams. We always know one could break out. It started with Brett and Shawn. It actually started before that with Strikeforce. But a lot of people brush that over in their minds, and I'm not going to get into that whole diatribe right now.
That's funny. I'm with you. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, I guess coming full circle here, they need to re-legitimize the Raw Tag Team titles. I mean, seeing the Street Profits win it was exciting. Montez Ford is insanely athletic. We all thought he died when he did that dive outside and landed on the ramp. I mean, like, I was like, that's it. I mean, he's dead. And, he's clearly very, very physically tough. They have a very, very magnetic ring presence. And the Viking Raiders, are they're like a throwback to an old school tag team, and they're dumbing them down to a preschool like presentation. And that's where the insulting part comes in and the eye roll comes in. So they need to just go back to what works and, I don't know, get in the damn ring and compete. Because the problem is not just are they dumbing down the teams, but as you and I are always talking about, it's the value of the championship. And week after week now, the Raw Tag Team titles are meaning less, and they're meaning less, and they're meaning less because they are associated by proxy being around the waist of guys that apparently don't care to be at Raw and apparently care about being more in a bowling alley or being in a basketball court, of which they're not being paid to be at. So it's all right. Well, any final thoughts on this?
Well, I'm just kind of curious. When's the last time you remember them defending those titles? Because wasn't Sami Zayn kind of stripped of a title for not defending it in 30 days?
Yeah, that 30-day rule's out of convenience. It's not enforced. It's just, that's right,
obviously.
we had that. Yeah. I know.
Obviously. We can move forward. Whatever. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was gonna, because now this is gonna go down a rabbit hole. So I can see us. It's one of those things that this is just the problem with talking about something like this is it's just representative of a much larger issue in WWE fundamentally. That's why it's so easy to go down. This is not just an isolated incident. This is just, again, it's just an image, a small image. It's like the tip of the iceberg, and then you can go into it about all these things that they do that are just so ridiculous in presentation. So, okay, yeah, let's move on here, and let's see, what do I want to go to next? Well, we didn't touch on Aleister Black because he's the one that beat Seth Rollins. I guess my simplistic question to you is, where do you see Aleister Black moving to? He's kind of floating around. He's feuding with Seth Rollins and his group, and it seems as if he's getting some help from Humberto Carrillo and maybe Rey Mysterio when he comes back, and it's going to be a 3-on-3 or something like that. But Aleister Black, who continues to just show us his insane ability in the ring and how good he is. We haven't heard a lot from him on the mic lately at all, but he racked up a win in your favorite way of a roll-up, of which WWE needs to just immediately banish, like today. Stop with the roll-ups, because you have these guys doing crazy moves and kicking each other in the face and stuff that should knock you out instantly, and the damn match ends in a roll-up. I mean, how many times over the last month have we seen roll-ups? It's lazy booking, and I'll go into that in my response to what you think about Aleister Black.
Okay, first of all, where's Aleister Black going has been a question for, about a year now? Nobody knows. We had knock on my door, challenge me to a fight. Of course I'm going to win. His character is amazing. What killed his character is when Drew McIntyre turned face, because they're so similar. You have to bear with me on this one. You've got Dutch Destroyer, you had the, Scottish Psychopath, you had guys of similar look, somewhat, both incredibly talented, but especially when Drew was wearing the sleeveless leather trench and everything else, it was very close to what Aleister was wearing. And I just think that Vince looks at it and says, well, people are going to get confused, pal. So, you got to go with one or the other. One thing I noticed about Aleister Black, and we've talked about this in the past, is that whoever he works with gets elevated. We saw it with Buddy Murphy. What happened? We all said, wow, we know Black's good, but this Buddy Murphy can really go. Now we're seeing Humberto Carrillo as his rescuer, and show off more moves, even though we knew he could go a little bit before, we're saying, wow, he's a stand-up guy. It's building some character. Who's getting the rub? It's not Aleister Black. I don't know if this guy's ever going to have a program. I really don't. It's mind-boggling to me because you're feuding with Seth Rollins, but that's obviously building towards Rey Mysterio. I probably see a 3-on-3 Mysterio, Dominic, and Black maybe going against the Monday Night Messiah and his gathering. That could be the end game. That could be the final payoff for SummerSlam, depending on what we do in the build-up. That might be it. But then you've got Carrillo out there. Well, maybe he and Carrillo are going to form a tag team. Well, you can't waste Black's single status and credentials against a tag team, or in a tag team against a tag team. So it just becomes like mind-boggling to say, what's going on? Where's this character going? He hasn't had a real feud. He's just had people. His closest thing to a real feud was Buddy Murphy. And I don't know, for a dark character, he doesn't have that come up from the stage. They did that in NXT, so I know that Performance Center stage he can still do it from. You just have to have the smoke there. But he's lost a step because they don't know what to do with him. They're just throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping a noodle sticks, and nothing's sticking. You just keep putting him out there. You make him look good, but he has to win by a roll-up, or he has to win by DQ because 8 guys jump him. Obviously, they're going somewhere with Seth Rollins after that curb stomp, and then, I see a tag team match coming up in the future. Honestly, before Dominic makes his debut, it's going to be Carrillo, it's going to be Aleister Black, and Rey Mysterio going against the Messiah and his people. What happens at that point, I don't know, because obviously the end game of the payoff is going to be Rey and Seth. So I think that's the biggest thing he's got going forward right now.
You're probably right. This guy his in-ring work speaks for itself. He's just incredibly talented. He's as good in the ring as Zelina, his wife, is on the mic. Like, if they were ever to truly team up, like that could be something special. But he is directionless. He's kind of a lost soul on Raw, and it's crazy that it's not killing him because he's that good in the ring that they know they can just plug and play with him. That they don't even need to cut a promo with him. They at least for now, don't seem to need to add any other pro wrestling elements to him other than just plugging and playing because they know he's that good with, like, Buddy Murphy, who's just that good, of which we've heard 5 words from. I mean, I don't know why they're not giving these guys more mic time for character development, but I think it's because they don't have a long-term plan for them. They're just kind of like, well, we know he's damn good in the ring. We'll let his actions in the ring speak for him. It's like, no, that's a cop-out. That's lazy booking. Give us something. And I don't think, honestly, I truly believe they don't know where he's going. We've seen it time and again. I mean, based on the evidence of 6 months plus of you think he's going to go to a destination and he doesn't. I mean, he beat Buddy Murphy in that 3-part series handily, and some of the greatest matches I've seen in a year or two.
Fantastic matches.
God,
yes.
So good. And it ended up with Buddy Murphy joining Seth's group, and it ended up with Aleister Black going into nowhere. I mean, it's like you thought that was going to be a launching point, and it didn't do anything for him. And so I still love seeing him out there. I just need a direction. He feels just wandering around, and the writing is clearly in line with that. So I don't know. I just hope that they end up doing something big with him. It doesn't have to mean he wins the WWE Championship, but it does mean that he needs to get in a meaningful, personal, heated rivalry, and I need to hear from him. It doesn't need to be in that weird type of tone that he sits in the back and talks like this and kind of enunciates weird words. And I just need him to just cut a from the heart promo. And there's nothing. And luckily, he's so good in the ring that it's really balanced out the lack of character development.
It's just backwards with him right now because you see, like you said, there's so much in-ring talent. There's so much potential. There's so much. He's supposed to be the next dark mystic thing. Then have Undertaker give him the rub. He doesn't have to beat Taker, but maybe he gets jumped by some people he has a mystery partner. I know Taker only wrestles once a year. Why not twice? He's done it before. He did it day after WrestleMania when he tagged with Kane and Daniel Bryan to take on the Shield in a losing effort. So, with that being said, let Taker give him the rub. That would be the ultimate thing. Now, of course, that would catapult him to main event status, but okay, with a limited roster at this point, and obviously, I think there's a pretty short. I think we both agree that there's a shortage of raw, sustainable heels, or at least credible threats, that it's tough for him to get some legs underneath him, especially when we don't even know who's going to show up to tapings this week or next week. The perfect feud for him would be if you took AJ Styles and you put him over on SmackDown for a consideration in the future, Shinsuke Nakamura. Let's see strong style on strong style, and let's just watch what they can actually do, what they did overseas, as opposed to WWE style, because this is the time to take the governor off. This is the time where if you're going to retain those wrestling fans and you're going to rebuild those crowds instead of going to a studio wrestling environment, you got to show them that you got something special. That would be something special. That would be something awesome. That would be, a crazy man who loves to entertain, and Shinsuke, who, if he actually wrestles his Japanese strong style and not wrestling the WWE soft style, and Aleister Black wrestling his version of the dark side and his Tommy End style, my God, we could have a great feud. We could have something that it doesn't have to be about blood, but it has to be about what got them to. Why were you signed to begin with? And it's going back to the sheep herders, bushwhackers. We wanted to see the sheep herders. We were rewarded with the bushwhackers, and we turned the channel. We wanted Tommy End. We got Aleister Black. We still haven't turned the channel, but it might be a bathroom break segment. I don't want that for him. So we got to get him a credible opponent, and we got to have a good feud. We just have to have something. Have him actually eat a clean pinfall loss, not in a tag team, not by hanky-panky, not by anything else. Somebody of Nakamura's level, if Nakamura wasn't as damaged on SmackDown, if you could build him, that's what you need. That's just me putting it out there.
And that's what I was going to bring up about Shinsuke is, number one, yes, he is a neutered version of himself from Japanese strong style. He has been WWEized, and that's not a good thing if you're trying to get somebody over that is unique. And if you're just trying to conform them to the style that everyone else uses, then they're just going to kind of blend in. And that's kind of what's happening with Shinsuke. He is, until he joined Sami Zayn's group, of which I sorely miss Sami Zayn every week. I really, really, really miss hearing him, the great liberator. God almighty, I miss, he was on such a hot streak and just starting to really take off. It's, the legs get cut out so quickly. But eventually he'll be back. And until Shinsuke joined that group, he was really floating out in the middle of nowhere. He was just defined down to a guy that wasn't involved in anything significant, losing matches, and it was a big fall from grace. And to build him back up to a point to face Aleister Black, I think would be relatively easy. I mean, I think it would be, because people recognize the talent of Shinsuke. And just taking maybe a couple of months to build him back up as a dangerous guy that the Kinshasa can knock a 7-foot guy out. I mean, there's ways to get him over, and that would be a hell of a program. I mean, yeah, they're on separate brands right now, but WWE doesn't care about that. They've got this glorified brand invitational, which is really just a mask for a wild card rule now in place. Yes. So there's that. And apparently they said only 4 times a year. Now, I don't know if that's 4 times that each brand has for a total of 8, or if it's 4 times total, meaning each brand can use those 4 out of that pot of 4 that they choose. I don't know. It wasn't really specified. But this is nothing more than a wild card rule, because WWE cannot help themselves of keeping brands separate. Hey, everybody. So it's not often that we talk about music here on this show or bands, but when we do, I think it's when it's worth listening to, and when I run across a song or a band that I think it's worth sharing on this show. And that's one of these moments, and that's one of those bands that I think you guys should listen to. And it's just a particular song right now. And the song is called To the Fallen Sons. It's by a band called Carolus, Carolus. And they're a newly formed band from Sweden. And they love making music about history, which is really, really cool. So this song in particular is about Carolians and the soldiers of the Swedish kings, King Charles VI and King Charles VII in the late 17th and 18th centuries. So let me give you a quick sample, and again, you can find them on Spotify under the song To the Fallen Sons. It's by Carolus, Carolus.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
No, you're absolutely right. And here's the thing. How you can get away with it is, hey, we're doing all of our tapings here at the Performance Center. We've got everybody here. So there's going to be a lot of ego swirling around, and we've got 3 dressing rooms. I know, that's a joke. And basically, you could have somebody from SmackDown passing somebody from Raw, and somebody from NXT passing from somebody from SmackDown, whatever else. And you could build on that. It sounds silly, sounds stupid, but it's the fact of, the NXT guys maybe showing up in the Raw locker room saying, "This is our house. We're tired of you occupying it. You're guests. We belong here." And now you got that wild card going, but you've got a reason for it. It's the same thing when everybody got stuck in Saudi Arabia, and now all we had was the NXT talent, which saved them and got higher ratings than anything else because they actually got wrestling and wrestlers as opposed to sports entertaining and entertainers. So you could use it to that advantage. You could have another NXT just goes wild on everybody, and you could actually have it where Raw and SmackDown team up against NXT as one conglomerate. And the thing is, with all the NXT people there, you actually outnumber the Raw and SmackDown people due to the COVID and everything else. And it could work that way, and then that's how you could have Shinsuke and Alistair maybe going against some NXT guys, and one accidentally glances the other, and then cooler heads prevail, but they don't, and they keep getting into it, and then Vince McMahon makes a decree that Shinsuke Nakamura must get this chip off his shoulder. He is going to Raw, and he's going to take on Aleister Black to see who the real King of Strong Style is. Wow, I did it in 5 seconds.
Damn. I mean, you got me all riled up for a program that's probably not even being thought of, unfortunately, with the writers or Vince. I don't know how they miss it, though. I really don't. And to me, most of the work on the back end needs to be done with Shinsuke because of how far he's fallen. Although rebounded a little bit. But I think that there's something there. There's something there that needs to be done, and I would like to see it honestly before he goes for the WWE title, because I think eventually it will be Drew McIntyre versus Aleister Black. I mean, think about that. I mean, maybe Aleister Black wins the Royal Rumble, and it is Drew still holding the belt, and you can have a main event of Aleister Black versus Drew McIntyre. That would be, I think, extremely entertaining and a great program if done correctly, and if they even have Drew hold the belt that long, and a lot of ifs. If he wins the Rumble, just so much. But those are my general thoughts, that eventually he will win a major championship. But I'd like to see him face Shinsuke first to really establish him as a potential threat for the championship. Give him that program that people remember. Right now, it's just kind of a bunch of one-offs with Aleister Black. There's not a sustained program that he's been in. The fact is, he hasn't even had a long-running program, even without the promo part of it. He hasn't had, outside of Buddy Murphy, and we'll say Buddy Murphy forever because it just flows way better than Murphy. is he outside of that program, there has not been a sustained rivalry. It's just kind of plug and play with Alistair, just as plug and play with Murphy. And he had the loss to AJ Styles at Elimination Chamber, just so that AJ would be built for a Taker at the next month's pay-per-view at WrestleMania. But outside of that fall that he had, that loss, it has been Aleister Black with really no true direction, true program, just plug and play. Okay, you would beat me up this week. All right, I'll try to retaliate next week, but in 3 weeks, this is all going to be forgotten. There's nothing clearly long-term. Right now, nothing long-term for Aleister, and it's a shame. Any follow-up to that before we head on to the women's division here?
No, actually, I'm glad you want to segue to the women's, but the only thing I'm going to say with it is the one thing that's good is if Shinsuke takes him on, if we could actually have that, fantasy booking that you and I both want, we know Shinsuke is going to look good because every time you take on Aleister Black, you're the person who gets the rub.
That's right. That is true, and hopefully, I mean, Shinsuke, I don't know, I guess Shinsuke would play the heel in that. And maybe, hopefully, he doesn't go back to the low blows or he no speak English or whatever he does.
I hate that.
All right. So on to the women's division. Quite an interesting division right now. I mean, with Becky Lynch gone, your main event face of the company is on her maternity leave and will be for the foreseeable future, probably until maybe late next year. I don't see Becky. Again, I don't even know the due date. And do you know the due date? Have you heard anything about when she's actually due?
I'm not that close to the family.
Yeah. I didn't know if she publicized it. I didn't think she did.
I don't think so.
So assuming that it's, say, 6 months from now, that puts you in December that she's due, maybe, say, around Christmas time, which then she's going to want to take probably 6 months to be with her child. Seth will probably take time at the end of the year. That puts her at summertime next year if she wants to come back 6 months later. So I would say a year from now we could start trying to fantasy book Becky Lynch back into the division. So there's a big gaping hole in the women's division of who's going to fill it, who's going to step up, who's going to be that, who's going to take that opportunity with Becky Lynch out. And I'm sure there are a lot of women who are actually excited that Becky's gone because that means, hey, a spot for me potentially. And that's the way I hope they're thinking. You got to be hungry, right? So Asuka is champion. And she is going to be facing Nia Jax at Backlash. So this past week we had Nia Jax face Kairi Sane, injure Kairi Sane. So add the injury list about 4 or 5 women deep to Nia Jax's just list of shame of how many people Nia Jax has injured to her repertoire. And it's honestly ironic because Nia Jax was the first one to criticize Ronda Rousey for hurting people that she knew in the business. I think she was referring to Alexa Bliss, and yet she has a list of people that she's injured longer than Ronda Rousey, but that's neither here nor there. So Nia Jax injures Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane legitimately got a cut on her head and all that kind of thing. But do you see any chance of Nia Jax actually winning at Backlash, or is this just a David versus Goliath with David end up pulling off the victory here?
Nia Jax has a great chance. I'm going to give it about 1.5%. And honestly, I think she needs to be punished for her sloppy work. I think that she needs to go beneath NXT. I think she needs to go to Evolve and work there for a while. Of course, they can't stipend her pay, but the fact is if you're put on basically internet-only pay-per-views for a while so people forget your name and forget you exist until you get things right, I'm sorry. That's the breaks, kid. You got to stop injuring people. Now, they said this one wasn't her fault. Kairi said she overstepped her boundary or didn't land right. The fact is, she didn't throw herself into that position.
Correct.
You can only – a stuntman knows he's going to get thrown from a car. But if he jumps also, that's his fault. If he just gets thrown, it's two different things. And I just feel that I don't want to say she's super sloppy. First of all, I stand up for what she said against Ronda Rousey. And I just think that I don't think she knows her own strength.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
and I hate to say this, and this is going to sound misogynistic, but I'm not. She might need to lose a little weight.
Well, she had double knee surgery. Do you think her weight didn't contribute to that? I mean,
Yeah, but I know it's like I said. First of all, I don't want to sound misogynistic.
No, man or woman, yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe she should train with the Big Show, considering what he did to his body. And I'm not saying she needs to slender, but maybe 20 pounds, so she moves a little bit quicker. I don't know, quicker with her. As strong as she is, she might be more deadlier, but just control. Maybe just go back to school, 6 months down and Evolve, or 6 months going to another woman's school besides what WWE and Performance Center, like a penalty box school, or maybe like go train under Lance Storm. He's not doing anything right now since he's been furloughed, and let him work with you and show you the proper way to not hurt somebody.
Right.
And
yep.
that's what she needs, because I don't think she's a bad performer. In fact, I like the character, and I'm a fan of all body sizes. I think it's great to have her at that size. I just wish, I don't know if that is the problem, or if maybe she gets sloppy. I can't say it's always her opponents when it's been this many opponents. You know, in the buckle bomb, it's like the same thing. Seth Rollins retired Sting and he injured Finn Balor. He shouldn't be doing the move. But there have been other people who've done it and never hurt anybody. So maybe the move doesn't need banned, just certain people can't use it. And maybe Nia Jax is one of those people who there's certain things she doesn't use because she's too strong and doesn't know her own strength and she's going to hurt them. Or maybe she just needs to be retrained. 6 months of going through the paces, taking bumps, dropping, falling, remembering the pain, and remembering every consequence that you do to somebody, and learning your own strength. It's just an idea. Aside from that, her taking on Asuka, I see Asuka retaining. Asuka's she's on a good path. Her match with Charlotte, if you don't mind me segueing into that.
Yep.
I mean, it was, of course, you had to protect both champions, so I understand the end. I don't like Asuka, who was basically the female version of Muta, being sheep herder bushwhackered into the goofball. I don't like her being like bubblegum.
Looks like they make her look stupid. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to see the old Asuka back. At the same time, the old Asuka was so deadly she couldn't be beaten. So you have to have some kind of way to distract her attention. You have to believe that she has a short attention span, that she might get excited over something, so that way you can get the old roll up on her or something like that. So I know why they're doing it, but let's not dumb it down as much. Let's take it out of 5th grade and put it into 10th. You could still fool somebody in 10th grade, and that's the way I want it to be. Sorry about your luck, Nia Jax. You're losing.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, Nia Jax. Okay, so I'm going to go in reverse. Nia Jax is going to lose. So there's just no way around it. Do I think she's going to eventually capture the championship? Absolutely. Absolutely she will, but it's just the timing is not good. Asuka just got the belt. I think Asuka has she's on the upswing for sure, given where she was. And Nia Jax's injury record, yeah, it's not good. And I understand why you would defend her statements against Ronda Rousey. I would too, but the problem is there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. So I'm not Ronda Rousey, and this is not about Ronda Rousey per se, because that's like a whole other show in and of itself. But yeah, Ronda Rousey was clearly unsafe. She was talking about Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey, and Alexa Bliss got injured many, many times. And so I get that, totally understand, but at the same time, your record isn't as good either. So, Nia Jax has an issue with, and again, like you said, it could be she's a powerful woman. She's stronger than I am. She's I guess, broken many women's lifting records at the Performance Center, and rightfully so. She is a strong woman that could probably whoop my ass, and that's fine. That's fine. And you know what? If she loses a little weight, it may not hurt her. From a longevity standpoint and from a joint perspective, I mean, we're just talking science here. It doesn't matter you're a man or woman. If you're heavier, it's just science that it's going to be more straining on your joints and everything else. So there's science behind losing weight. That being said, whether you're a man or woman, if your gimmick is really, really reliant on your look, then of course you want to cut it to a point where it's not going to infringe upon your monetary value as a superstar, because she is so much different from all the other women, and that really helps her stand out. Her weight is actually an asset from that perspective. She is clearly much bigger than any of the other women on the roster, other than Tamina.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, let's be honest, Tamina is always been a Nia Jax's shadow.
Yes.
Tamina, outside of her, so Nia Jax, her asset is her weight, but it's also her enemy because of the fact that it's straining her joints. She had double knee surgery. This isn't misogynistic. These are all facts. So Nia Jax right now, does she need to go to Evolve? Maybe. Does she need extra work at NXT? Maybe. I'm sure that, given there's another injury on her list, is it just chalk it up to bad luck 6 times? Or is it up to, hey, I was just a little overzealous, I threw her too hard? I mean, when you saw the visual difference of the size between Nia Jax and Kairi Sane, it was striking. Striking. It was like a child against Nia Jax. And as talented as Kairi Sane is, physics will always supersede your talent, because Nia Jax, I rewatched that many times. Nia Jax legitimately chucked her into the stairs. And so you can put your hands up, but if you're thrown with that much velocity, there's only so much you can do. So I wasn't involved intimately in the situation, but based on what I've saw over and over, it looks like it was majority of Nia Jax's fault. And you could say, well, she should protect herself. There's only so much you can do. Anyway, Nia Jax is an asset to the company. She is got a lot of good days ahead of her, but she needs to, like you said, maybe just learn how to work with the women that are a quarter of her size a little bit better. She's a monster in a midget world. I mean that in a good way for her. And I know these terms people think are, I'm being derogatory or whatever. No, like she is clearly the largest woman in the division. That's a good thing for her, because people always know and recognize who Nia Jax is. She does not blend in. She's extremely differentiated from the rest of the roster. So, but the fact is, she needs to kind of get her straight, and she needs to maybe go back to the basics, maybe just train a little more on the side, or just slow it down, or I don't know what the answer is. I'm not a trainer or a coach, so but she needs to do something, because this is getting to a point where it's not just coincidental.
Maybe you could start out with fines, $50,000 fines. Of course, if you're making $200,000 a year and you've been on the roster for, say, 3 or 4 years, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to hurt like somebody like you and me who make not $200,000 a year. So I honestly think it's retraining at this point, because we can't risk another person getting hurt. We can't risk another Seth Rollins retiring Sting. Who's she going to retire? And I don't want to see, as much as Alexa Bliss is a small little thing, she's entertaining. She's a good wrestler too, but her mouth gets her over more than her in-ring, but her in-ring backs up what her mouth says. It's not the level of Charlotte. It's not Sasha Banks, but still she's good. But she is so small, she can easily get crushed. One buckle bomb, one, what do you call it, a hot shot? I can't remember the new name for it, but when you drop someone's throat across the top rope. But I've seen that. I've heard about that breaking people's clavicles and just putting them out forever. Paralyzing vocal cords. That's why Steve Austin stopped using it when he was stunning Steve. So I say, retraining. That's the best thing we can do, and that's the way we're going to push forward.
Yeah, you absolutely could be right. That's probably the solution. And I want to see Nia Jax in the division. She's a massive asset, no pun intended. She is a big asset in every sense of the word.
She is,
and she is. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to rate her on the mic. I think there are times when she speaks a little too slow, but there's times where she's believable. I don't know how to rate her on the mic, because we haven't seen that long form promo yet from her. It's always just kind of like less is more, and that's fine. There's a lot of men and women that aren't great at long term promos, but She has all the pieces, and she's trying to put them together. It's just not time for her to carry that championship with Asuka just getting it from Becky, winning it at Money in the Bank, and seems to be on a bit of a hot streak. People identify with Asuka, I think, a lot easier than Nia Jax, and I don't know. Timing is not good. Nia Jax, and this is not really a prediction show, but Nia Jax loses here and Asuka retains. And so, anything else on Asuka and Nia? Or Kairi?
Poor Kairi. I hope she gets stitched up, and if she needs any help, my Twitter handle's at 144captain. Okay, going forward.
Yeah, and your phone number, right? Yeah.
So we're not going to give that one out on the air,
right.
Are we?
No.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm there to help.
No, I totally hear you. No, I hear you. No, you're such a great human being. You're always out making sure everybody is taken care of. That's great. Edge and Orton. We haven't really touched on this, and there hasn't been a whole lot of physicality. I'm totally fine with that. There's no need for the physicality, and honestly, there's a lot of things we could talk about here. We could talk about the fact that this is a backwards feud, meaning typically wrestling logic would say, hey, you got to start it with a regular wrestling match, then you move to a no holds barred, then you go to a steel cage. Typically, that's how it goes. In this case, we're going the reverse, and I'm not complaining about it. You had to go to the extreme at WrestleMania, given what Orton did to Edge's wife, and what he did to Edge himself, and talked to his wife about, and said, "I love your kids more than you do." All these things that happened. It was one of the best programs that really was just absolutely cut short with the coronavirus. One of the biggest victims of this was of the coronavirus in wrestling land was this program not being in front of a live crowd to end it. It was just a damn tragedy. But now we're going into a wrestling match after Edge gets his victory at WrestleMania. We're going backwards into a straight up wrestling match. And I guess I'll ask you, because I've ranted many, many times over the last couple of weeks about this slogan, this marketing campaign, that this is going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. How do you feel about that?
Okay, let's talk about that. The greatest wrestling match ever. I don't know what the greatest wrestling match ever that you ever saw was, but I've seen thousands of matches, and I'm sure you have too. And you've had the benefit of seeing a lot of them live, especially WrestleMania matches, where I really didn't have that benefit. But watching it at home on pay-per-view, or some of the stuff that I saw, before you were a fan, so on and so forth. I mean, of course, Flair Steamboat, amazing. Benoit winning the world title, people can say whatever they want. It was amazing. Iron Man matches, amazing. I could go on for days. This is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. It's not. You've got a guy with a fused neck, and you've got a guy who's 20 years into it. And not taking anything away from him, Orton can still go. He's lost one step, but that's about it. And that's because he always gave you a great match, but he never had to go over the top and take as many risks as a lot of people have in his position. He's sustained his injuries, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't beaten up his body like somebody like Edge. Now, with that being said, Edge's promo building into this was terrible when he said, "I think," at the end. It's like, you're a babyface, and you think? Isn't that how he ended it, I believe?
Yeah, it was. That's not what you say as a babyface. I agree.
It was just terrible, which is going to, put more doubt so Orton can play his role. Orton's a great guy in front of people, but when he cuts a promo by himself, does he have to do the tongue swirl like 15 times? Seriously. I get it, like you want to look sleazy for the crowd, but when you're cutting a promo into a camera that's not even supposed to be there in a back room, and you keep doing the open mouth tongue swirl, it's like, dude, please, it's over the top. I get it, you're sleazy, but jeez. The pressure on this is way over the top. It's not going to deliver. And in fact, if there's one botched move, the internet wrestling community is going to rip this one a new one and probably stuff it with turkey giblets, because you'll never hear the end of it. You can't bill something as the greatest match ever, and then you have HBK and Ric Flair saying who they think is going to win in predictable fashion, of course, and you just can't deliver something that that has that much pressure on it from people, one who's hurt but coming back and we're proud of him for it, and another one who's 20 years into his programs already and can still deliver but can't deliver like he could 10 years ago. And especially without a crowd, there's so many factors and so many variables. It's not going to be the greatest match ever. They should not have put that label on it. They should have said it's going to be our greatest match ever. We could have digested that a little bit better. Our greatest wrestling match ever, not the greatest wrestling match ever. And then to have other people talk about it and say it very well could be, just dumbs it down. It's just like when all the superstars, wrestlers were saying that Shane McMahon might be the one to take out The Undertaker. Come on. He could be Undertaker's greatest opponent. Did you watch WrestleManias where we just fall off a turnip truck somewhere and someone just dug you up and said, "You're my kid now"? That's how I feel about how they built this. The match is not going to deliver. Will it be good? Yes. And it's the storyline with the most legs underneath it. So I want to see this be over, but I want to see it. It's not going to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Dean Malenko chain wrestling. That would be a great wrestling match. This is going to be two men in their 40s that are going to do the best they can. But I swear if one steps on a banana peel at one point, bounces off the ropes, misses one spot, this whole thing's going to blow up. That's how I feel about this.
I really wish I had my Twitter account for this. I hope I get it back before Backlash. I mean, I need it. I'm dying every day, but I need it for this one specifically. I have destroyed this marketing slogan that is like a child came up with this slogan. I'm serious. It was like bring your kid to work day, and one of the writers' kids said, "Hey," or one of the guys said to their kid, "Hey, what would you come up with this match?" "Oh, it's gonna be the greatest wrestling match ever." And Mitch was like, "Oh, I love it. That's good. You know what? I mean, that's what it feels like." If anyone even just touches the surface of the fragile nature of this expectation, it'll crumble into a million pieces on so many levels. And yes, we're not disputing that the match is going to be good, and it's hard to. I've never talked so much about the marketing of the match than I have the actual match before. But to call something the greatest wrestling match ever is superseding everything that has ever come before. And not only that, but you are also talking about something that is extremely subjective. I mean, you're talking about something that even if it hit a 5-star rating, not everyone's going to agree it's the greatest wrestling match ever. So you're touching on something subjective. Furthermore, you're also telling us ahead of time that it's going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. The greatest wrestling matches that I know of, that I have seen in my life, number one, it's hard for me to even just single out one. Number two, it's something that happens in retrospect. It doesn't happen ahead of time. I don't go and go, that's going to be the greatest wrestling match I've ever seen. No, it happens, and then you decide that's the greatest wrestling match I've ever seen. It's not something ahead of time that you can plan. Number three, if this was a true competitive sport, of which we are supposed to believe and invest emotionally that this is a competitive simulated sport, why would they care about putting on the greatest wrestling match if the objective is to win? Why would they worry about having a great match? It's like when Sasha Banks and Charlotte had the first Hell in a Cell women's match, and they were more worried about talking about making history. No, you should be talking about winning the effing match. Then we'll talk about, maybe the announcers can bring it up, the fans talk about it. It happens afterwards that you talk about the history that was made. You don't talk about it in the promos ahead of time. Because it tells me what they're focused on. It tells me that it's not about who wins and loses. It's only about what happened or how great of a match they have. It's like when Dolph Ziggler talks about stealing the show. No, that's total exposure of what I'm supposed to be believing in here. That's you worried about winning the match. It's not about how great the kickouts are or the reversals. That happens inherently. That happens during the match. So if you're telling me that this is going to be the greatest wrestling match ever, that means that they're not worried about necessarily winning. It's about how great the match is in quality. But yet I'm supposed to believe that these two are trying to win. It's so contradictory on so many levels. It's laughable and really angering at the same time.
Well, what gets me And this is what really, really bothers me, and I'm going to bounce this off you, and I think you're going to agree, and it's going to get us both under the skin. I think this is going to be the cinematic match.
No, it can't. Well, it can't be. They're doing it in a ring. I would assume if it's a wrestling match, there's not going to be any backstage anything. It should be in the ring. So if they do that, I don't know if I'll be able to watch, and my head will explode. I mean, they cannot do that to this match. Please, no. I don't even want to think about that. That will really, like, it is getting under my skin just thinking about if they did that. I could see the temptation because they seem to be now on the path of making sure that there's one of those silly crap matches, if you even want to call it that, every single pay-per-view now, because somehow they're getting great feedback from fans that are 5 years old on Twitter on Mom's account and talking about how great some of these things were when it's just an insult to what pro wrestling is. But again, you can't tell me that this match is going to supersede HBK Taker at WrestleMania 25. You can't tell me it's going to supersede Austin Rock at 17. Like, you're setting this match up to fail off the bat. That's point number 4. This match is set up to fail because the expectations told to the fans by their promotion are inherently unattainable. Like, this is the worst slogan you could come up with for any match on 1,000 levels. So, yeah.
Oh, no, it's thoroughly disgusting. I mean, it's like you said, you and I discussed this a long time ago, when that's a WrestleMania moment. That's a WrestleMania moment. No, giving someone an elbow from the top rope is not a WrestleMania moment. Seeing Zack Ryder, who doesn't deserve to win an Intercontinental Championship, take one off the ladder against people who are actually talented is not a WrestleMania moment. You're just giving something and thinking it's a surprise and trying to tell us it's a moment. Don't tell me how good something's going to be, and don't tell me it's going to be the greatest the greatest wrestling match ever, or try to bill it that way when you know it's not going to happen, it's going to fail. And like I said, one slip up, one thing, it's going to be torn to shreds. It's going to be destroyed, and I got a feeling that there is going to be a mishap. I think there's going to be too much nervousness, even though they can film everything and edit and edit and edit. It seems like Kevin Dunn is sleeping in the trailer these days. And the easiest way I could say that is, like, before Rey Mysterio got his eye gouged out, when he cut that promo and he looks up and you can see the blood capsule under the mask. I don't know if anybody else caught that besides me, but that was pretty easy to see. And I was like wondering, why is there a big red spot under his mask? And then later on, we all found out. So Kevin Dunn used to be good at stuff like that. Let's shoot it again. Don't look up. Don't show something like that. And I got a feeling, one, if it's not cinematic, which I pray to God it's not. I pray to God, but if it is, and they integrate like old match clips of theirs and do stupid things, and like you said, it's supposed to be a wrestling match, it's supposed to be in the ring, but if it is, it's already dead in the water, and Jaws is just circling. 2, it's not going to happen, it's too much hype. Having Ric Flair and HBK talk about it is just like a kick in the nuts. It really is to your whole product. And the third thing is, I think not only, even if they don't slip up, it's going to be torn to shreds. No matter what, it's going to be torn to shreds just for billing it that way, because everybody's become fickle. The ratings are down, and people want to have their voice heard one way or another, whether they love it or they don't. But if they don't, and which they're not, they're going to tear it to shreds over and over and over again.
They're going to, and the shame of it is, this, had WWE not told us it's going to be the greatest wrestling match ever, probably would have been perceived as a better match had WWE not told us it's going to be the best match they've ever seen. I mean, like, because you've set the bar into the Milky Way. I mean, you put it up in the universe that it's just not going to happen. You're not going to reach that level. Now, when we watch it, we're expecting absolute magic where we're enthralled. Every move matters. That's not going to be the case. So WWE really shot themselves in the foot. They should be ashamed. They really should be ashamed that they are billing this match, because it's amateur hour over there right now. Whoever came up with this, and Vince obviously approved it. It's seriously shameful that they are insulting that they are putting this as the greatest wrestling match ever. That's no disrespect to Edge and Orton, 2 professionals Two absolute pros that are very, very good. Two ring generals. But I don't care. This is absolutely shameful that you say ahead of time this is going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. And to your point about WrestleMania moments, how many times, like you're right, they blatantly tell us that this is a WrestleMania moment as it's happening. I'm like, that takes me out of the moment so fast, and it ruins the moment so fast that it's what I despise about WWE's narrative to the announcers every time that it happens. I remember when Austin, Rock, and Hogan all came out, and the King was screaming, WrestleMania moment, WrestleMania moment. Like, King, shut the hell up. Like, yeah, we know that. You don't need to tell us that. Michael Cole does the same thing. I mean, stop with telling us the WrestleMania moments. We will tell you, as fans, we will tell you vocally when we go, that was an awesome moment. Don't force the narrative on us that, you know, this is a moment. Even if the fans don't react in a explosive way, we've designed this moment to be a WrestleMania moment. We want to feel it's organic. And when you tell us straight out, it's clear that it's no longer a WrestleMania moment because it was contrived. Like, that's the kind of crap I hate. And this is an absolute example of that with the greatest wrestling match ever. I have nothing else to say, and I'll just close it out because I'll rant and go in circles. This is damn shameful. It's whoever came up with this should seriously be ashamed of themselves.
Do you ever feel that I can work you up better than anybody else? Minus maybe Mary when she likes the cinematics and you don't, but because we see everything eye to eye, especially DeMarco Anthony. Yeah, he sees it like us too, and like we can all pick at each other, just get that momentum going, and it starts out a snowball and then it turns into a boulder as it's going down to crush a car. But yeah, I'm. If WWE as a product as a whole, first of all, started going back to promoting and stopped entertaining, and started remembering its roots, it's like you said, you can't outrun your shadow, and started giving us wrestling matches instead of mini movies and bowling matches and everything else, we might care more about it. We might put more eyeballs on it. If they would stop telling us what we should like, who we should like, and how great the situation is when we can clearly see through it like it's water, we might buy into it a little bit more, and you might have a little bit more of kayfabe left, which was the whole idea of wrestling in the carnivals to begin with. They have pulled down their pants and defecated on the product temporarily. Hopefully they can pull their heads out of their backsides, but in the meantime, AEW needs to learn from their mistakes and stop following in suit. And same thing with Impact, all the people doing the cinematic stuff and telling us things we don't need to know that we can decide on ourselves. I hate mayonnaise. I don't know if you knew that. I hate mayonnaise more than anything. There are people who owe me a couple $1,000s. I don't hate them as much as I hate mayonnaise. So when I go to Subway and someone tells me, you got to try the spread, you're going to love it, I tell them no. And then they try to tell me again, you're really going to love it. I'm going to tell you, absolutely no, and you were really stupid because you didn't listen to me the first time. But I don't say that. I just tell them no over and over again. You can't tell me what I'm going to like.
That's funny you say that. Like, it's the same thing. I hate all seafood, not just one or two things. I don't like shellfish. I don't like all seafood. If it comes in the water, I have zero interest in it. I just can't stand it. So when you talk about the mayonnaise analogy, as you continue with your food analogies, which are very entertaining, people do that with me all the time. They're like, oh, well, you don't taste the fish. It's like, well, yeah, I do, because I know I hate fish, and I taste the fish. Yeah. It's not fishy. You won't even. No.
Like, it's fish.
This is also, it's not a choice to like a food. You either do or you don't. It's kind of your brain decides for you. It's not a conscious choice to like something when you eat it. So I totally get it. It's like, nope. I'm 35 years old. I'm pretty sure I understand what seafood smells and tastes like. It's the same damn thing. It's people being like stupid that they think they're going to convince you of liking a food that you for sure don't like, or that it's hidden in the food. You're not going to taste it. Yeah, whatever. So now we're talking like things that annoy me in my personal life. So I guess to put a bow on this thing, I am I'm trying to pretend that this is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. I know it's not going to be. I'm just, to me, it's a slap in the face from the company of trying to tell me ahead of time it's going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. Like, that is the worst part, that the promotion itself is telling us that. Like, flat out. It's even part of the Backlash logo now. It's not just for the match. It's on the actual Backlash logo itself. So, I don't know. Any last thoughts on this, so we wrap things up here?
I find this about as exciting as a McMahon in every corner.
WrestleMania
as far
2000,
as the build,
yeah.
yes, yeah. I mean, you're gonna love it. It's a McMahon in every corner. I don't want that. In fact, I don't even want I don't want the Big Show in there. But when it comes down to it, brass tacks, baseball bats, man, it's not going to be the best wrestling match ever. They can't keep force feeding us that. Let's just let that go. Can I touch on two things real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, one. I love the whole Charlie Angel Garza thing. I know I kind of brushed over it before, but it's the fact that she's so sweet, he's so smarmy, and Zelina is protective of him. And that could cause something within the inner ranks, but I really don't want to see Andrade's group, which has no name, Zelina's group, whatever you want to call it, dissipate. I'd rather have them get a name, maybe one more person, or just the two of them stick together and have each other's back. But I still would like to see him play the smarmy guy who hits on every babyface girl. And the babyface girls almost seem to fall for him. It just adds a weird character dynamic. It reminds me of a character from, oh God, it was Memphis a long time ago. This guy was a complete jerk, but every time he talked to a female, he'd be like, "Yes, ma'am. Whatever you want, ma'am." He was definitely a hillbilly character, but the fact is he would sit there and cut a promo on who he was going to destroy. But if the lady asked him something, "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am," and it added so much depth that he's a jerk and he wants to hurt you, but he's a gentleman. And this could be like kind of a reverse. So I just like stuff like that. And then I just want to touch on the Iconics going over real quick. I don't know what's going on with them. I have no idea why they're getting another push. Hopefully, it looks like they've worked on their in-ring. To be honest with you, it looks like they have. It looks like they've improved, and some of the time they've taken off the screen, that they've been down in the Performance Center, and they've really looked like they've sharpened up and crispened up their stuff. And I think that they could really work a good program with Nikki and Alexa Bliss, who I love as a tag team, because I know it was slapped together as an accident, but man, it works so well for me. I don't know about you, but it really works well for me. You've got Sweet Sexy, and you've got Crazy, but now starting to question, is she crazy or just dedicated to her friend? But it's a friend, not an obsession, not like a Mickie James thing. I really like that. So...
So my comments on that, Angel Garza, yeah, he's got that magnetic personality. I've mentioned many times he has a bit of an Eddie Guerrero vibe to him, and he's certainly magnetic on the screen, and he's got that it factor, and he is kind of the womanizer. At least he comes off like that. So he could be that smarmy heel that does that, and is kind of the womanizer backstage. I don't know where they're going with that, and right now Charlie Caruso seems to be the weekly target for him. And the only thing I didn't like with his character is last week during the United States Championship match, Charlie Caruso is talking to him, and he's talking about how he makes love to women. And I'm like, why am I hearing this in the middle of a championship match? It was kind of just a weird placement. But outside of that, I like his in-ring work. I like his personality. He seems to be all in. He's a smarmy heel. And the Iconics, I've actually been more of a fan of the Iconics than most. I think that they're obnoxious but kind of endearing at the same time, which is kind of a weird combo as a heel team. And to me, the biggest weakness was their in-ring skills and their in-ring performances. And I think that they have, from what I've seen in a small sample, improved that. And so I'm for a Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics championship opportunity. I think that that's clearly coming. As far as the Nikki Cross Alexa Bliss combo go, I'm a little bit. I mean, I love Alexa Bliss. I mean, she is just clearly the star of that team. And you have Nikki Cross, who is just every week just being kind of this just over the top crazy girl on commentary, to the point, I mean, to me at least, it's come across a little bit obnoxious. She's not, to me, endearing. She's just becoming annoying. And you had Bayley on commentary on SmackDown, who was actually a little more tolerable as the heel. She was more tolerable than Nikki Cross, who seems to just be, like you said, not Mickie James, but I think she's got a little bit of Victoria in her.
Ooh, good call.
I think
good
Victoria is kind of the mold that she's being put into, of eventually when Alexa does something that maybe gets Nikki jealous, that Nikki ends up turning on her, saying, you don't spend time with me anymore, you didn't call me this past week, like starts to turn into a complete psychopath about, you need to spend more time, pay attention to me and me and me, and just that black hole of a friend that's always requiring attention. So I think eventually Nikki's going to be the heel in this, and Alexa Bliss will be the babyface when this team splits. So those are my thoughts.
No, I like it. I just wanted to touch on them because I didn't want to forget about them. And honestly, I could see this. I could see the Iconics winning the championship pretty soon. I think it's more to just gain heat and get under the viewer's skin. So we want to see who's going to beat them. But they have been working hard. It's obviously no Dean Malenko in that ring, but I see a great bit of progress. Not as many blown spots, not as many elbows that were about 7 or 8 inches away from someone's face and still taking the dive. So, it's better. I'll give it that, and I want to give them their due.
Any thoughts on R-Truth regaining the 24/7 championship from Rob Gronkowski?
Do you have like a gallon of bleach you could pour in my eyes? I don't want either of them on my television. I'm going to tell you one thing about R-Truth. I've been following him for years. Of course, I've followed wrestling for years. When he was in the NWA TNA, when it was back, when it was that back then, he was, K-Crush or whatever. When he was a serious character, you saw something real in him. Coming back, I understand that he's semi of a locker room leader, and his character is out there because they have so much invested with him because he trains people, and he's more agent than he is wrestler. But the fact is, I don't want to see him on my TV. I don't want to see that joke of a title on my TV. I don't want to see Rob Gronkowski on my TV. I don't want to see Eanes Cantor I don't know if he's playing for the Celtics this year or whoever else on my TV. I don't want to see anybody from NASCAR on my TV. I don't want to see anybody but wrestlers. And I don't want to see garbage like that. That's, my opinion.
Well, I think everyone knows. I mean, that
I'm
going to say to that. I mean, I'm not going to dispute that at all. I think Rob Gronkowski is an absolute embarrassment to professional wrestling, and I'm so glad that the rumors prior to WrestleMania of him signing a multi-year deal with WWE turned out to be false. And that they didn't end up putting this in an NFL game where R-Truth runs out at the end zone and ends up muddying up the waters of the NFL. I didn't think that would happen because NFL, I don't think, would have allowed it. But this is all, at least it's back in R-Truth's hands for whatever the hell this title means, which is about as much as the pen in my hand. I mean, it means
yeah, exactly.
It's over. It's over. I mean, I think the little bit of fun that we had with the 24/7 title and a little bit of the little bit of running around and who's going to have it next, anybody could have it, and Mick Foley introducing it, the fun is gone. I think that the fun is gone from that championship. The new shiny toy is nothing more than just an embarrassment at this point, and we all knew it had a short shelf life. We just didn't know when it would eventually die off. And I think the expiration date it's come and gone. I am over the 24/7 championship. It was fun for a little while. It was a throwback to the hardcore title. We all had fond memories of that in ball pits and all that kind of thing. I remember some really funny things with the hardcore title, and I thought, they could do some great stuff. And WWE did some relatively funny stuff at times with that title, but more often than not, it's just been kind of an eye roll of people running in single file line to go find R-Truth. I mean, it just became eye-rolling nonsense, and then you get people that aren't even in the 24 or in WWE as actual contracted performers, and yet they are somehow able to win a championship from a company that they're not even employed in. I mean, the plausibility of this is just, it's not even at child level. It's at like inhuman, I need to have a brain transplant level. It's enough. And I'm glad that it's over, at least from a Rob Gronkowski standpoint of like Mr. 38-year-old frat boy trying to still live in his college years. I mean, I'm over it. So anyway, yes, so that's enough with R-Truth, but I'm glad you brought those two things up.
Okay, so I have a question for you because I think we've covered much of Raw, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any listeners' questions?
Oh, good question. Well, I normally do. However, on given the fact that I don't have a Twitter account right now, it really has killed me. But actually, I do have something. Let's see if I can listen to it. I'm glad you brought that up here. Let me pull it up. I do, and it is. Let's see how long it is. It's just about a minute long. So the topic that this person brought up is Nikki and Alexa. So actually, pretty darn relevant. So let's see what they have to say here. I'm going to put it up to the mic.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, Brad here. I was just listening to your podcast. I wanted to throw something in there. I think you're right with the Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss breaking up, but I just want to go off what you were saying, and the angle I was going to use for it is actually going to be the hacker. Like you said, when they first became a team, everybody expected Alexa to kind of turn on Nikki eventually, and it's never happened. So maybe the hacker is going to play some kind of footage from in the past when they did first become a team of maybe Alexa talking about how she was going to use Nikki for this or that. And then they could play that theme. Like there's been many movies where the cool girl hangs out with the dorky girl for whatever reason, to use her for whatever, but then ends up actually becoming friends with her genuinely. And then eventually, of course, the dorky girl finds out about it, and they go from there, which in this case is going to hopefully be Nikki saying, you know what, blah, 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 that's how you think of me. And then they have a little feud go. That's where I'm going with it anyway. Have a good day, buddy. Stay safe.
Your response to that?
Okay, first of all, Brad sounds a lot like Kevin Owens. You notice that?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Brad, if you're Canadian, that's cool, man. You know, I was born in Niagara Falls, but it was on the American side. So, this is what I got to say about that. I understand it. However, the hacker side of things, I believe, is on SmackDown. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's not going to really work out as far as Nikki and Alexa go. However, I could see it being a possibility if you could do it across shows, which at this point it wouldn't hurt because they haven't unveiled who the person is, and you're still owed somebody to Raw by SmackDown for AJ Styles. So it could work out. It could be a way to break them up. However, I don't see them breaking up. Even if they lose the Iconics, which I can see having a title run soon, I really think that Vince likes the two of them together. I think that there's just so much chemistry there. You've got the sweet, you've got the crazy, but the work ethic it's through the roof. And honestly, with the title scene for the title picture for the women being so polluted right now, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean it's a stagnant pond. There's too many people that could be at the top. I can't see that happening, but it's a good idea, and I can see how that could work.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not unfeasible. I think that is something that is definitely within the realm of possibility. The hacker is something I actually really enjoy. I'm really enjoying the hacker because it's done in a way that's serious. It's not done in a hokey GTV way. It's done in a way that is, it's I guess it's believable to the most that a believable thing like that could be in pro wrestling. It's, a guy that's in a hood, the identity isn't shown. My concern is that this is going to be just as far as the hacker goes, kind of a never paid off deal where even if like the Raw Anonymous general manager, when it was eventually just revealed to be Hornswoggle, which was obviously never in the plans. It was just one of those storylines that they go, we never tied that up, huh? Because we didn't know where the hell we were going. We didn't have an idea who it was. And I think that I really hope that they have an idea of where this is going and what it is. I really am hopeful of that because they got something here. It's interesting because you're always like, oh, what the hell is going to be shown? You always know it's going to be something scandalous or something of actual substance being shown. So I'm enjoying the hacker angle, and maybe that's what they do with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, because this team, I think, is built to dissolve. And I think however it happens, it could be the hacker. The hacker is definitely somebody that would reveal the truth of what Alexa Bliss thinks of Nikki. But the problem is if you do that, then that would turn Alexa Bliss baby or heel, because then she's talking down about maybe that she's just using her, like you said. And if you're trying to keep her babyface, I wouldn't do that. But if the hacker's going to be involved and you're going to keep Alexa babyface, I think you kind of do the reverse and have Nikki be the one that ends up being revealed to use Alexa to gain the championship or something like that. And to me, Alexa would be the babyface and Nikki Cross should be the heel, because Nikki Cross has that crazy psychopathic Victoria feel to her. So those are my thoughts anyway.
No, I like that perspective, because it's not what a twist, but it's a semi-twist. It's not like the end of the show. It was me all along, Austin. It's something that's more palatable. It's easier to digest. It's easier for us to say, okay, this happened, and okay, I get it. She's crazy. How did we not see this the whole time? Let's roll with that. So, but just out of curiosity, and we could put this question to bed. Who do you think the hacker is?
Who? To be totally honest with you, I haven't even tried to give it some thought because I'm concerned WWE hasn't given it any thought. I think it's a male. I think it's a guy.
Yes.
I don't think that is a big shocker. I
mean, Mustafa Ali has been like the biggest rumored person for it.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't even sat down to think about it. Do you have any idea?
I'm honestly thinking it's like a 205 guy like Sean Davari, or like somebody they're trying to repackage, but with all this COVID stuff, and it could have been somebody who was furloughed or fired. We didn't even think about it. It could have been EC3.
Yeah. I mean,
so this is the point where this is a Black Scorpion moment. Well, let's make it Flair. Why not? 20 years later, after the Black. But more than likely, I think it'll turn out to be Mustafa Ali. Too many rumors rampant on that. I can't think of anybody else unless it's Lars Sullivan. You know how I feel.
Well, he's got to be close to returning. I mean, he's been out injured for many, many months now. He's got to be getting close.
And I've thought about this too. Like, this could be the greatest thing for him as far as a return, because you know how bad the fans would turn on him. And if he really has an anxiety problem, and especially after everything, especially the movies and everything else, you know how rabid they would be. And if he has an anxiety problem and that happened, that guy wouldn't show up. So this might be the perfect time for him to come in. But honestly, that's another one. Like I predicted, usually with their big bricks that they want to push, I really don't see him lasting.
I don't either. I mean, a lot of people have anxiety issues. I'm not downplaying that. I'm lucky enough to not have them. But if you have an anxiety issue and you're a professional wrestler and you're in front of thousands of people every night, I mean, that's like the equivalent of an alcoholic being a bartender. I mean, like, it kind of comes with the job. Like, you really have to work every single night to try to mitigate those problems. And whether it's, over-the-counter drugs or whatever, it's just you're putting yourself at risk every single day. And hey, I the struggle of it is real. I get it. But I don't know. Back to your question with Lars Sullivan, it could be. I mean, the thing is though, when you look at the size of the guy that's in that sweatshirt, that black sweatshirt, he doesn't seem to be a large man. It seems to be a average sized man.
True.
And so, Lars, I don't think it would fit his character per se. He's just kind of that monster, that traditional, let's bring a guy up, he's a monster, and debut him and get him a hot streak and all that. And so I'd be surprised if it was Lars. I'm actually looking forward to Lars Sullivan coming back, whenever that may be. But I honestly do not have an idea. It could be Mustafa Ali because of the lights. People have been talking about the lights being, that's really the only connection. So.
Well, basically, that's all I got for this week.
All right. Well, very good. And I think we covered so much stuff. And as always, 2 hours goes in the blink of an eye talking pro wrestling.
Yes.
It's crazy. But before we head out, of course, I want to give you a moment to plug anything you'd like and give any shout-outs that you want.
Sure. I'd like to shout out some of our faithful listeners, Tim Bass, Mark Edwards, my nephew Maverick Rose, and everybody in the squadron over in England in the Air Force. Of course, DJ Kuzmo, that guy's great. And my loving brother, Tim Gross. I want to say one more thing. In this time, people, I ask that you could do something, and that's just care about your fellow man. There's some people who can't eat, so if you can be part of a community garden, go garden something. Costs $15 usually to get a plot in a community garden, grow some tomatoes, and just donate it. You know, if you can't give, and if you can't volunteer, if you're scared to do it, I understand, but there's more than one way to just reach out and help somebody, because you might be okay on your furlough, you might be okay because you're essential, but there's somebody who isn't, and they might need your help. So just reach out and give them a hand, all right?
That's a good message right now. This is easily the most divided I've ever seen the world ever. I mean, it's tearing friends apart. We all see social media being super toxic right now. This whole issue with rioting and obviously the COVID-19, which has been very quickly forgotten. I mean, people have just that thing just suddenly is over because of the rioting. But this is the most divided I've ever seen at any time in my life. This has been some of the worst months ever, and I think providing or being able to help people, as you just said, in any way that they can, and providing pro wrestling audio, which it's doesn't seem to be a big deal, but any escape, like that's why we go to Netflix, that's why we go to Hulu, that's why we go to HBO Max, that's why we do all these things to escape from reality. And I think that, you know, like you said, volunteering certainly important. Donate, help, whatever you can do, and I think we're doing a service here. So
absolutely, I agree. And if we could take your minds off it for 2 hours, well, we'll just keep doing that.
Definitely. I mean, that's what I always said. I said when this whole thing started and we were all like, what is happening? Why is my life suddenly different in the blink of an eye? We were committed here to not missing any shows, and we haven't. And we're grateful that WWE didn't stop producing shows, because it would have been difficult to produce months of shows without new content. So, it's a good thing. I mean, to be able to talk, and it's like therapy for a lot of people to be able to talk and listen to wrestling, especially if you don't have a lot of close family and friends that you maybe are able to see that are not pro wrestling fans. Like, we all know what it's like to talk to people that aren't pro wrestling fans, that don't like pro wrestling and have a certain stigma about it. So that's why we're here. We're here for you to help get your mind off of what the hell's going on. So.
Absolutely, I agree. And one more thing, at 144 Captain, and if there's any questions that you want from Matt and you can't send it to him right now because of Twitter, you can DM them to me, and I will gladly pass them along, because we're all in the family and we all help each other.
Absolutely, yes. Please, you'll be my proxy for Twitter as I sit in jail with no explanation from Twitter as to what I did wrong. I'm just sitting in handcuffs in a holding cell with no bail. Just sitting here. None of the guards are talking to me. Nobody's talking to me. They're just like, you just need to sit here because you're suspended. And that's where I am. I'm sitting in Twitter jail with nobody talking to me. So yeah, please use Michael as my conduit for being able to speak through to you guys. So thank you for that offer. And
you're welcome.
It's been a great having you on the show. I look forward to it. We'll be doing this hopefully again sometime soon, as Backlash comes and goes, and maybe we'll do a review show. We'll figure it out. You know that we'll find some time and be able to review a show here or there. So
absolutely,
Michael, thanks so much for coming on, and we will talk again soon.
You're welcome. As always, I'm humbled. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.